the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 651, Confiscation of the Tools of Crime. 1. The detention camp is a place where prisoners of war are temporarily held. Most of the captured personnel from the 3rd Military District are detained there, waiting for the 1st Military District to send people to interrogate them. After the initial interrogation of the people from the 1st Military District, their information will be sent to the federal headquarters in different categories according to the severity of the crimes they have committed. The federal headquarters and the federal court will jointly discuss and then decide their destination based on the results of the discussion. In simple terms, marginal figures will be sent to the court for a second interrogation and finally convicted according to federal law. Most of the important figures will be sent to the federal headquarters and then handed over to the intelligence organization with considerable means for special trial. Although everyone will be convicted in the end, these important figures will be punished if they don't die. But no matter which type of person is interrogated, Wen Jiu should not follow and listen. Master Ming personally led people to Brickstar for support and also sent the Star Lord of Brickstar here. After all, you are one of the important witnesses of this incident, so I think you have the right to go and listen to the interrogation. After Lu Yan finished speaking, he took her on the aircraft, not giving her the opportunity to refuse to go. In fact, it was okay, she didn't think of refusing. Because she and the Star Lord also had a grudge, so she was very happy to see him suffer. But what surprised her was that General Lu didn't send anyone to stop him and let Lu Yan take her into the supervision camp. Although Lu Yan and General Lu were brothers, she didn't think they had a good relationship. And General Lu seemed to dislike her very much. When they first met yesterday, the other party did not hide his dislike for her. But it didn't matter. If he didn't stop her, she wouldn't worry about being kicked out. Young master, the person has been taken to the interrogation room. The soldier in charge of waiting here immediately saluted and reported the situation when he saw them. Hearing this, Lu Yan just nodded coldly without saying a word to the other party. Fortunately, these soldiers have long been accustomed to it, and no one will express dissatisfaction with this. The most important thing is that Lu Yan, in addition to being cold and taciturn, is rarely as arrogant as other officers, and will not punish people under him for no reason. So many soldiers who have worked with him like him. Young master, I'm afraid this person can't. The soldiers on guard had not received orders yet, so when they saw Wen Jiu was about to follow in, they reminded Lu Yan very competently. This is my man. He pulled Wen Jiu behind him. You don't need to ask more. After saying that, he directly pulled Wen Jiu in without giving the soldiers a chance to react. Seeing this, everyone also knew what to ask and what not to ask, and just stood at their posts very tacitly and continued to guard. No one even reported the situation to General Lu. Anyway, there was surveillance equipment everywhere in the supervision camp. If the other party wanted to know about such trivial matters, they could find out from the surveillance. It was the first time for Wen Jiu to come to the interrogation room. Although she wanted to look around, the Star Master of Brickstar had been brought in and was waiting. So she temporarily put aside her doubts and stared at the person in front of her with a rather sarcastic smile. To be honest, although Liang Yi thought that he would be in trouble one day after working for the 3rd Military Region, he never thought that he would meet number 9 after the trouble. How dare you appear in front of me, you traitor. Bitch. You. Aha. He wanted to curse a few dirty words to save himself, but he was blocked by the soldier behind him before he could say a few words. Then there was a burst of electricity flowing from the back of his neck to his whole body, and the pain and numbness instantly made him twitch all over. Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but look at Lu Yan in confusion. What is this? However, the other party still remained indifferent and replied, treat others in their own way. It must be said that she felt very comfortable after hearing this. She was electrocuted half to death in the seedling base before, so she had been thinking about finding an opportunity to attract thunder to strike people. Of course, she would not strike randomly. She mainly wanted to take revenge on those seedling masters and this mentally retarded star master. It was just that it was inconvenient for her to be taken away from the castle, so she put the matter aside for the time being. Just when Wen Jiu was lost in thought, she suddenly saw Lu Yan looking at her and said, "By the way, I will take you to the medical room later to remove the chip on the back of your neck." Although she didn't know how the other party knew about the existence of the chip, she still smiled and thanked him sincerely. But it was quite normal to think about it. The 1st military region has now captured a lot of people from the 3rd military region and started interrogating them since last night. Things like how to control the seedlings will definitely be asked out. Thinking about it, she looked coldly at Liang Yi, who was still twitching. Although the other party is essentially a scum, he still has a good appearance. But after being hit and tortured, this appearance no longer has the extraordinary style of the past. Besides, ever since she met Lu Yan in the Star Network world, her aesthetic standards have been raised a lot. So when she first saw Liang Yi, she had no other opinion, except disgust and aversion. But the other party being electrocuted can also be considered as torture, right? She remembered that prisoners of war cannot be tortured privately. Strictly speaking, he is not a prisoner of war, because he was captured by the head of the Ming family and his guards, not on the battlefield, so he has to bear the price of his previous mistakes first. Wen Jiu didn't expect Lu Yan to be so good at taking advantage of loopholes and actually find this reason to punish people. She thought he was the kind of person who followed the rules. So she said cheerfully, "I see, let's start the interrogation first. It's not worth getting angry for such a person." Hearing this, Lu Yan couldn't help but reveal a trace of doubt. He thought Wen Jiu would be happy about this, but why was he actually pleading for Liang Yi? Now that we are here, let's finish the serious work first. Wen Jiu seemed to see through his confusion. "Once we are done, I have plenty of ways to let him know what every action has its consequences." She stopped here and didn't finish the rest of the words. Hearing this, Lu Yan's expression eased a little, and he also asked people to stop the electric shock on Liang Yi. "Let's start with the first thing. Why did you kidnap the youngest son of the Ming family?" Interrogation was naturally not something that Lu Yan and Wen Jiu would do. They just sat in the interrogation room as spectators. Liang Yi, who was locked in the chair, had not recovered yet when a basin of ice water was poured on him. He couldn't help but shudder violently. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 652, Confiscating the Tools of Crime 2. After all, he was the Star Master who was in charge of the entire planet. He had never suffered such humiliation. Therefore, he just gritted his teeth and looked at the number 9 seedling, ignoring the interrogator's questions. "I'll say it again. Why did you, the prisoner Liang Yi, kidnap the youngest son of the Ming family?" Hearing this, Liang Yi just felt ridiculous. Is there any need to ask why he kidnapped Ming Yu? He just wanted to have more chips to escape. Who knew that an army suddenly appeared and rushed into the castle, and the woman leading him even took him outside alive to torture him, letting those women he looked down on before come to watch the fun. Thinking of this, the resentment in his heart deepened a bit. Just when Liang Yi made up his mind not to speak, he suddenly heard Wen Jiu, who was sitting next to him, say with a smile, "If he doesn't say anything, just shock him again. When he feels comfortable, he will naturally say anything." Hearing this, he couldn't help but you saw his strength to say sarcastically, "TSK TSK TSK, you were just a dog that I played with casually before, but I didn't expect that you would start to show off your power after changing to a new owner." In his opinion, all seedlings and plants are like cats and dogs that can be played with by anyone, and girls like number 9 are even lower than boys. Therefore, he has always looked down on her. If it weren't for someone from the research institute asking for it, he would not have allowed her to be airborne and become a high quality seedling, and then rise to the top 10 at such a fast speed. Wen Jiu was not interested in bickering. She just leaned lazily on the chair and then activated her mental power to invade directly. After all, showing off with her mouth is not a skill. However, when she just used her mental power, she felt an equally powerful energy. This energy was faster than her speed and invaded Liang Yi's sea of consciousness first. Liang Yi, who was originally slumped in the chair, shuddered instantly and then felt an unprecedented pain. Although he had been enjoying himself on Brickstar, it did not mean that he had not participated in battles before. Therefore, before the pain spread throughout his body, he realized that his sea of consciousness had been invaded. But his mental strength was completely unable to resist the invasion, and he could only let the pain torture him and make him howl continuously. Drop after drop of cold sweat fell like raindrops, and he clenched his fists to try to concentrate. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not relieve the pain. Seeing this, Wen Jiu looked at Lu Yan with a clear face, and the other party happened to turn around and look at her. She wanted to ask out loud, but thinking that there were outsiders here, she pretended not to know and picked up the teacup, drinking tea leisurely while watching Liang Yi's pain show. Just when she thought that this torture would soon end, the other party suddenly started to bang his head on the table, as if he had lost his mind. Bang, 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 again and again. Liang Yi opened his eyes wide in horror, but his behavior was completely out of control. He was still banging against the table in front of him frantically, and he couldn't stop until he was bleeding. "Are you afraid?" Lu Yan asked in a soft tone. After he finished speaking, Wen Jiu said leisurely, "What's there to be afraid of? Listen to the sound of his kowtow, it's quite rhythmic." He couldn't help but curl his lips when he heard this, because he was wrong. The other party dared to break into the enemy's rear alone, so how could he be afraid of such a small scene? "I'm wrong. I'm wrong. RRR. I'll tell you. I'll tell you whatever you want to ask." For Liang Yi, being electrocuted was not that scary. After all, the 3rd military region had used a chip to control him before. Because Brickstar is very special to the 3rd military region and the 5th military region, if the personnel in charge of it rebelled, it would be a fatal blow to both military regions. So when he first went to Brickstar, he was installed with a chip by the person in charge of supervision. At that time, he was not the Star Master of Brickstar. If he made a mistake, he would be punished by electric shock. Therefore, when he was caught by the 1st military region to install a chip, and when he was shocked to numbness just now, he really did not have any fear. But now he is completely out of control, like a puppet controlled by others, which makes him feel unprecedented panic. In this case, let's stop first and see what he can say. Wen Jiu had just finished speaking when Liang Yi stopped hitting. It seems that her previous guess was not wrong. It was indeed Lu Yan who was invading. Unexpectedly, the other party was quite cruel. Seeing this, the interrogator and the recorder tacitly did not say much and only asked questions to Liang Yi, who they were responsible for. However, the other party still had a trace of psychological defense, so what he vomited was not important. What he said back and forth was what they had known for a long time. Not to mention that they knew it, even when Jiu knew it very well. For example, how the seedling plan was carried out, and how they kidnapped children. These were all confessed by others a long time ago. So after asking Lu Yan for instructions, the interrogator arranged for someone to bring in the special equipment. The one with the light is for polygraph, and this head-mounted one is a jammer. While the logistics soldiers were setting up the equipment, Lu Yan introduced it to Wen Jiu very considerately. Although various technologies are very advanced in the interstellar era, it is still difficult to read people's thoughts. At least scientists have not yet developed an instrument that can directly read other people's thoughts and memories. The 3rd military region was able to read and modify memories before, all with the help of the god of Sulamei, and they had no way to do it themselves. People with strong mental power like Lu Yan can control the thoughts and actions of others, but the high frequency of use will inevitably cause damage to their own mental power. No one dares to guarantee that such damage can always be repaired, so when it is not necessary, he rarely uses mental power to control the thoughts and actions of others. As for using mental power to invade and cause damage, it is different from directly controlling the thoughts of others. And the former is a mental power damage skill that most commanders have, while the latter requires the user to have strong mental power and be proficient in control. It's just that Lu Yan still doesn't know that Wen Jiu has already comprehended the former and the latter on his own and is quite skilled in using them. Continue the interrogation. After the interrogator's voice fell, various instruments began to work. Liang Yi was seen sitting in the chair, twitching and shouting, and he even wanted to break free from the restraints to attack the air in front of him, as if all kinds of hallucinations appeared in front of his eyes. Wen Jiu didn't expect that this head-mounted jammer would be so magical, so he listened to Lu Yan's explanation while watching with relish. After all, there is nothing more enjoyable than watching your enemies being tortured. Oh no, it's also nice to count money at home, but it's a pity that she can't go back for the time being. Today's second update has also been delivered on time. Thank you to every little angel for your support. 030. Chapter 653 Confiscating the Tools of Crime 3. Liang Yi's psychological defenses were easier to break than everyone expected. He confessed after being disturbed for less than 10 minutes. He not only told all the details of the seedling plan, but also gave a list of people working in the base, and even revealed that the military region believed in the true God. At the end of the questioning, he also revealed that he had taken someone else by force. Wen Jiu originally wanted to find out the news and watch the show, but when she heard Liang Yi talk about taking someone else by force, she couldn't suppress her anger at all. Lu Yan, who had been observing her silently, soon noticed her emotional ups and downs. Don't be angry, wait until the trial is over. The other party's gentle tone was like a comforting medicine, temporarily suppressing her anger. The interrogator didn't expect Liang Yi to do these things, so he asked the other party to explain the list of people. This kind of thing must be reported to the federal court, and let them send people to find the victim according to the list. If the victim cannot be found, the family must be notified, and the trial will be conducted in accordance with federal law later. However, the interrogator saw Wen Jiu's angry look just now, and felt that this extremely evil person might be tried in advance. Facts proved that he was right, because after they finished asking the questions, Lu Yan took the other party into the interrogation room. In order to prevent the interrogated person from suddenly attacking, the interrogation room is generally divided into an outer and inner part. The outer part is where the interrogator, the recorder and the audience stay, and the inner part is naturally where the soldiers in charge of guarding and the interrogated person are. He has vomited everything he should vomit, so you can go out and do your work first. After Lu Yan spoke, the interrogator and the recorder left here decisively, fearing that they would be held accountable by the other party if they walked slowly. The soldiers in charge of guarding stayed at their posts, but they all lowered their heads tacitly, pretending that they didn't know what would happen next. At the moment when the interrogator and the recorder closed the door, Wen Jiu kicked over the chair where Liang Yi was sitting. Because the opponent's limbs were restrained on the chair, he fell down with a bang. She then kicked Liang Yi several times in a row, and then took out the tactical knife that Lu Yan gave her, but she stopped after hesitating for a moment. Seeing this, Lu Yan asked at the right time, "What's wrong? Do you have another knife to lend me? It's best to borrow one that I don't like or that's not important." He thought Wen Jiu was reluctant, but he didn't expect that the other party just wanted to change the knife. So he took a dagger from a soldier and handed it over, but Wen Jiu still looked hesitant after taking it. Just when he was about to ask a question, he suddenly saw the other party approaching and whispering, "What I'm going to do next may not be suitable for you to see. Do you want to consider avoiding it?" Hearing this, Lu Yan was stunned for a moment, and then quickly reacted. But he didn't expect Wen Jiu to be so bold that the other party would have such a strange idea. "It's okay if you don't want to avoid it, I can." This time, he didn't wait for Wen Jiu to finish her words, and pulled her out of the interrogation room. Although he didn't think there was anything wrong with Wen Jiu's idea, after all, Liang Yi was extremely evil and bullied so many people. Even if the other party didn't have this idea, he would not let him go easily. But selfishly speaking, he didn't want Wen Jiu to do such a thing, because the other party was still a little girl who hadn't grown up. Hey, didn't you say that you could let me deal with it?" Wen Jiu was puzzled. After being pulled out, how can you go back on your word? Hearing this, Lu Yan could only pull her closer and whispered, "You don't need to do such things, it's very dirty." After that, the other party took back the dagger and handed it to the soldier standing outside, and then pulled her to the door of the supervision camp and walked quickly. She was in a state of confusion throughout the whole process until she reached the door. Lu Yan stopped and whispered to a soldier, and she realized that the other party knew her thoughts. There was no way. The behavior she hated the most was men bullying women, especially those who took advantage of their power to take advantage of others, as if they couldn't live without thinking about that kind of thing. So she was so angry that she just wanted to perform a small operation on Liang Yi so that he could no longer do that kind of work. But what she didn't expect was that Lu Yan actually saw it and even helped her find someone to complete it. Could it be that people with high mental power can read minds? Wen Jiu took a flying vehicle to the research institute before she came to her senses. Fortunately, Lu Yan had been patiently waiting for her to get out of her thoughts. But she thought about it and didn't think of one thing, that is, the other party helped her without saying a word. In fact, if Liang Yi took advantage of others according to federal law, the tools used in the crime would also be confiscated, but it was just the difference between physical confiscation and chemical confiscation. He was very lucky. Lu Yan was not a person who returned evil with kindness, so what awaited him was naturally physical confiscation. When the news of Liang Yi's execution came, Wen Jiu had just finished looking at the second floor of the research institute. "Ian, you are really fast." She couldn't help but smile happily. "You have helped me so much. I will thank you later." As she said that, she came to Lu Yan, raised her head, and stared at him with curved eyes. The incandescent light above her head just happened to shine down, reflecting her bright and clear eyes. Her eyes were like a sky full of stars, attracting people to fall into them all the time. Lu Yan had to look away slightly, trying his best to keep a calm expression, and said, "You are welcome." Fortunately, Wen Jiu quickly turned around and walked forward, not staring at him with those charming eyes. It must be said that his heart was in chaos again. While the two were searching in the research institute, Lucy, who was supposed to go for interrogation, was sitting in the monitoring room. The more he looked at these pictures, the more dazzling he felt. As someone who also came from his youth, how could he not understand Lu Yan's thoughts? "Jin Qianfeng, help me." After he gave the order to Jin Qianfeng, the depression on his face was swept away. "Okay, this is the third update of the day. It has also been delivered on time. Thank you again for your support 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 654, Good Brothers 1. In fact, Lucy could have reported this matter to his father and let him deal with his brother's youthful excitement. The main reason was that his relationship with Lu Yan had already reached a freezing point, so he didn't want to cause any more impact on it. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sigh. He remembered that Lu Yan was very close to him when he was a child, but since he was abducted by those mysterious people, he had been drifting away from him unknowingly since he came back. Forget it, just ignore what I said just now, and continue to report the situation in the supervision camp. Although Lucy really hated a wild girl like Wen Jiu, he couldn't deny that she did make Lu Yan happy. Anyway, the family background, status, and ability of the two were very different, and even if he didn't intervene, it would fade away sooner or later. So it's better to keep Wen Jiu first, so as to avoid him causing trouble once he intervened. Hearing this, Jin Qianfeng's eyes flickered for a moment. "Okay, Admiral." After that, he switched the screen on the light screen panel to the interrogation video handed in by the people in the supervision camp. On the other side, we have already visited the first and second floors. Let's go to the third floor now. Wen Jiu said as she ran upstairs, and Lu Yan just quietly followed her. Although they did not bring other people to the institute this time, they were able to search quite quickly with their mental perception. The first floor was just a place for the experimenters to rest temporarily, so no important items were stored here. On the other hand, there were many pharmacy rooms and warehouses on the second floor, so they found a lot of scraps of paper there. Some of the information was useless when pieced together, and some of them were not Zhu Wangming's notes, but the information recorded on them was quite useful. For example, there were improvements to the mental recovery potion, and there were also special potions that could make people hallucinate. In short, they gained a lot from this trip. By the way, have all the escaped experimenters been caught? After Wen Jiu jumped to the third floor, she turned around and looked at Lu Yan, who was still walking slowly. She remembered that the other party had said that an advance army had come to capture the research institute, causing the experimenters to hurriedly pack up important items and hastily destroy the things they could not take away before running away. Of course, Zhu Wangming's notes are very valuable for reference, but the storage capacity of the wisdom ring and the storage ring is limited. In addition, many experimenters in charge of pharmaceutical production have seen them, so it would not cause much impact if they did not take them away, so they were hurriedly torn into pieces in a panic. Even if all the experimenters quickly packed up and fled, most of them were still intercepted by the advance army, and those few who slipped through the net were chased by Lu Yan's orders. However, after a day and a night, it is unknown how many people have been caught. About 1/3 have been recovered, and the rest have not been found yet. Lu Yan shared this information naturally, without any intention of hiding it from Wen Jiu. Hearing this, she couldn't help but feel happy. This feeling of being trusted is quite good. So she also said openly, in addition to looking for notes, I also want to find some herbs to take home. Anyway, she and Lu Yan are inseparable for the time being, and this matter will be discovered by the other party sooner or later. It is better to confess now, and it will be convenient for her next action. Herbs? Lu Yan was confused when he heard this. What herbs can't be bought? Why do you have to come to the research institute to find them? Wen Jiu knew from his expression that he couldn't understand his behavior. In fact, this is normal. When Zhu Wangming asked her to find herbs at the beginning, she was also thinking about what she couldn't buy on the Star Network. As a result, she asked carefully and found out that the other party wanted the improved ones of the 3rd military region. Those herbs have always been used only by the research institute, and they have not been circulated for sale until now. There are several herbs that must be used for the medicine to suppress side effects. My uncle said that they are only available in the 3rd Military Region Research Institute. In fact, the herbs she found can not only be used to prepare inhibitors, but also to prepare medicines to speed up Uruman's recovery, so she came to the Research Institute again to look for them seriously. Although she wanted to find the original owner's information so as to take revenge, she heard from Lu Yan that all the information about the seedling plan had been confiscated, and those materials are now classified as confidential. They have to wait for the federal headquarters and the federal court to review them, and then selectively release some of them according to the final trial. So she is powerless now. She can't go to the federal headquarters to rob them. She can only think of a way to try to get them later. Now she has to focus on finding research notes and herbs. Wen Jiu and Lu Yan strolled in the room on the 3rd floor while finding topics to chat. After listening, the other party frowned and asked, I have heard of those herbs you mentioned. Are you sure they are unique to the 3rd military region? Really? This question made her confused. She heard Zhu Wangming say this, but there was no reason for the other party to lie to her. Could it be that the 3rd military region has sold all these herbs publicly, but Zhu Wangming and she have never known about this? That's not right. She also read the plant encyclopedia when she was at the nursery base, and the version was not much different from the version in the library of the 3047 Academy. But no matter which version of the plant encyclopedia, there was no record of the herbs that Zhu Wangming wanted, which meant that those herbs had not yet been announced. Just as she was lost in thought, she suddenly heard Lu Yan apologize in a low voice. Sorry, my tone was a bit heavy just now. Hearing this, she quickly replied, no, I just didn't react for a while. Don't take it to heart. After that, she added, Ayan, do you know these herbs? Do you know where to buy them? She didn't know how long she would stay on Doris Star, so she thought that if these herbs could be bought, she would let Zhu Wangming buy some to prepare medicine for Uruman. After all, things like curing diseases cannot be delayed. However, the other party shook his head helplessly. Frankly speaking, I don't know. I can even say that before you told me the news, I didn't know that these herbs were produced by the 3rd military region. Because he was also one of the modified experimental subjects, he has been taking inhibitors all these years. It's just that except for him and his father, no one knows that he was being experimented on. The inhibitors produced by the 1st Military Region Research Institute were only regarded by everyone as a way to suppress the onset of his strange disease. After all, in the eyes of others, this is a problem he brought from the womb, not a side effect. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel 030. Chapter 655 Good Brothers 2. Because Wen Jiu never wanted to let others know that he had a monster son who could turn into an animal, he began to conceal it after knowing it, making everyone think that it was just a mysterious disease. What he wanted was a son who could crush others in every aspect, not a son who would turn into an animal from time to time. Although Wen Jiu was a good leader for the Federation and a good district chief for the 1st Military Region, it was really difficult to evaluate whether he was good or bad in the family education of Liu Yan and Liu Xi. It was precisely because of this that Liu Yan always hated his snow leopard form, so he wanted to find a way to make the animal gene disappear. He actually had no interest in medicine, but in order to find a way to remove the gene, he would still work hard to learn about it. In addition to attending classes carefully in the Imperial Capital Military Academy, he would also ask people from the 1st Military Region Research Institute for advice. Over time, he knew which herbs the inhibitors were made of. This is also the reason why Liu Yan knew those herbs, but he didn't know where they came from. Well, that's how it is. Wen Jiu didn't know how to answer for a while. In addition, she saw that Liu Yan had no intention of continuing to talk, so she changed the subject neatly. The herbs should be stored in the cultivation area. Do you know where the cultivation area of the institute is? After the words fell, the other party's indifferent expression returned to peace, and he took her to the elevator not far away. The cultivation area of the institute is not difficult to find. In addition, the people of the 1st Military Region have already searched it once, and special labels are posted in various places to make it easier for someone to find the place when they come to check. However, Wen Jiu's good luck seems to have ended here, because the cultivation area is considered a secret of the institute. Countless special herbs were planted here before, so when they fled, they directly activated the destruction device. All the plants were burned to powder, leaving no roots or seedlings for her. Seeing this, she was a little depressed, but did not complain. After all, the people in the institute are not fools, and it is impossible for them to leave such secrets. In addition to the institute of the 3rd Military Region, the institutes of other military regions also have destruction devices, just in case something goes wrong and the secrets are leaked. They would rather destroy their hard work than tolerate others invading and occupying it. Wen Jiu wanted to say a few words to comfort herself, but before she opened her mouth, she saw Liu Yan coming over to comfort her. I can send it to you when you go back. The short sentence was like a warm current, slowly flowing into her heart, which made her feel moved and warm. So she swept away the depression just now, and reached out to pat the other party on the shoulder. Ian, you are really my good brother. If you have any needs in the future, just find me, brother. I will go through fire and water without hesitation. Liu Yan always felt strange when he heard this, which didn't seem to be the result he wanted to hear. But after he met Wen Jiu's star-like eyes, he still agreed to the other party's words very unconvincingly. Good brothers are good brothers, as the saying goes. There is a long way to go. And they are still young, and some things are not urgent. Thinking of this, Liu Yan's mood also improved a lot, so he took Wen Jiu away from here, and continued to search other rooms. By the time the two of them returned to the starship to rest, it was already late at night. Wen Jiu wanted to go back to her room, but her growling stomach wouldn't allow it. Although the restaurant on the starship was always open, she still wanted to eat some of the food she made. So she grabbed Liu Yan and asked, Ian, can I use the kitchen? She was just asking tentatively, but the other party agreed without even thinking about it, and even accompanied her to the kitchen. Young master? The logistics soldier who was happily slacking off became panicked when he saw them and didn't know how to greet them for a while. Although they were only responsible for cooking, Lu Yan often went in and out of the first military region, and over time, few people didn't know him. Even if there were, just looking at his appearance, you can tell that this is a hidden young master of the Lu family. You will go out first. My friend wants to use the kitchen. In fact, Lu Yan didn't want to say a word to outsiders, but this time he was going to use someone else's kitchen after all, so he explained the reason for coming here seriously. Hearing this, several logistics soldiers immediately retreated without saying a single extra word. The main reason was that this restaurant usually didn't have many people coming, and now it was late at night. At most 3 or 4 officers would order supper, and their departure for a while would not cause any impact. Seeing this, Wen Jiu first smiled and thanked, and then began to look for available ingredients. There were quite a lot of ingredients in the refrigerator and freezer, but she just wanted to fill her stomach now. So she simply selected a few ingredients to make a quick meal. She first estimated and grabbed a few handfuls of polished rice and washed them with clean water, then poured them into the food processor, and after switching to the porridge mode, she began to process other ingredients. She planned to cook some porridge and stir fry some side dishes, which would be enough, even if Lu Yan wanted to eat together. So she picked up a bamboo shoot, washed it, cut off the old roots, peeled the skin with her hands, washed it again, drained it a little, and finally cut it into thin slices with a knife. Help me boil a pot of water, I still have to deal with the pork. Wen Jiu had just put the bamboo shoots into the bowl, and she subconsciously ordered Lu Yan. The main reason was that she usually had someone to help her when she entered the kitchen, so she didn't realize that she said something wrong. When she remembered what was wrong, the other party had already boiled the water for her. Seeing this, she sprinkled seasoning on the meat slices and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I didn't react just now." She didn't know that Lu Yan was so obedient, and the other party didn't remind herself and silently did what she asked. "It's okay." Lu Yan obediently stepped aside and watched her busy with interest. Because when Jiu made convenient and quick meals, it took less than half an hour to start. The aroma of food filled the air, causing the logistic soldiers guarding the door outside to sniff. They thought the young master had brought the girl to play, but they didn't expect that he could actually cook. Just smelling the aroma emanating from the crack of the door, they couldn't help swallowing their saliva. "Would you like some?" Wen Jiu served herself a bowl of porridge. Although she knew that Lu Yan really didn't like to eat, she still wanted to ask for his sake. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you all for your support again. 030. Chapter 656 Good Brothers 3. Just when she thought she would be rejected, the other party actually nodded and agreed. "I'll serve you a small half bowl first. After all, you haven't eaten for a long time. Eating too much at once is not good for your stomach." As she said that, she scooped a small half spoonful of porridge, not giving Lu Yan any chance to refuse. The main reason was that the other party hadn't eaten for a long time. She was worried that, if she got sick after eating, she would be taken back to the headquarters of the 1st Military Region for interrogation. Oh, maybe they don't even need to take her back for interrogation, just send her directly to the nearby supervision camp. So in order to protect her own safety, she still has to take good care of Lu Yan. Fortunately, the other party was not a hypocritical person. He didn't say that he had to sit outside to eat, but just stayed with her in the back kitchen to enjoy the food. It may not be considered a delicacy, but it was enough to fill her stomach. When Jiu first blew on the boiling hot rice porridge, and a burst of rice fragrance instantly rose with the heat, making her already hungry stomach even more upset. So she drank the porridge carefully, and the porridge flowed down her throat, and her whole body suddenly became warm. There was no need to chew the rice grains that were cooked to softness, and she drank it mouthful after mouthful like a drink. Thick and silky, with bursts of rice fragrance. Then she picked up a piece of bamboo shoots and bit it gently. The crisp bamboo shoots burst with juice between her lips and teeth. In addition to its own fragrance, there was also a faint meaty aroma. The rich and multi-layered fragrance overlapped and intertwined into a spring movement. Bamboo shoots are crisp and refreshing, and when stained with pork fat, it only makes people salivate, and their appetites open. The pork mixed with the fragrance of bamboo shoots is also lovely. The combination of the two makes the pork fat but not greasy, and it tastes smooth and delicious with a unique flavor. Wen Jiu ate half full, before he began to observe Luyan. The other party actually held the chopsticks without moving, as if he was hesitating whether to eat or not. Seeing this, she couldn't help but say, if you don't want to eat, forget it. There's no need to force yourself on this matter. Anyway, drinking nutrient solution is the same now, but she prefers the pleasure brought by eating, so she will try to cook when conditions permit. Luyan hesitated for a moment, before picking up the bowl, and taking a sip. The sweet porridge was like a fine drink, and just one sip was enough to make him happy. And the warmth in his mouth also made him feel very comfortable, so he continued to taste the porridge in the bowl. Such a bowl of porridge is nothing to Wen Jiu. At most it is the priority option to fill his stomach. But in the eyes of Luyan, who hasn't eaten for a long time, this bowl of porridge is the key to reopen his appetite. Although there are no precious ingredients in it, he still has an indescribable sense of pleasure. I'll cook whatever you want to eat in the future. Wen Jiu was in a better mood after eating and drinking, but there are conditions for me to cook. You can't eat if you don't work. She liked to talk when she was in a good mood, so she picked out some interesting stories about her cooking in the past. Luyan listened carefully and ate the food slowly, with a relaxed smile on his face that he didn't even realize. It's just that Wen Jiu only served him a small half bowl of rice porridge. Even if he deliberately slowed down his eating speed, it didn't take him much time to eat it all. Just when he was about to take the initiative to wash the dishes, the other party seemed to have thought of something, and suddenly showed his tiger teeth and smiled, looking both cute and a little wild. Sorry, I just suddenly remembered an interesting thing. Wen Jiu held his chin with both hands, his eyes full of joy. Have you eaten bamboo shoots fried with meat when you were a child? Hearing this, he shook his head with doubt. He had never heard of bamboo shoots fried with meat before, so how could he have eaten bamboo shoots fried with meat when he was a child? The other party laughed even more happily when he heard this. This bamboo shoot fried with meat is not the same as that bamboo shoot fried with meat. It seems that you had a good childhood. In fact, Wen Jiu just remembered that when she was in the sect, the senior brother often used bamboo shoot fried with meat to warn her, so she wanted to ask Luyan if he had been warned. Because she was very naughty when she was just brought back to the sect, she liked to run to the back mountain to pick wildflowers and weeds on weekdays, and she would play all day long. If the senior brothers and sisters didn't come to find her, she would even stay in the back mountain and not go back. Because the master was always reluctant to punish them, the senior brother would use bamboo shoot fried with meat as a metaphor, and if she dared to run around again, he would let her hit her with a bamboo stick. But the senior brother was just talking, and he never really hit her with the bamboo stick. Just when Wen Jiu was recalling the past, she suddenly heard Luyan's cold voice. Not good. Not good at all. Hearing this, she instantly felt that she had said something wrong. She really didn't mean anything just now, but just asked casually when she thought of it. I'm sorry. Before she finished her words, Luyan stood up and cleaned up the table. Although his movements were very unfamiliar, he cleaned up quite quickly. Seeing this, she didn't know how to explain it, so she could only clean up the dishes and chopping boards, and then left the kitchen. Ayan, don't ignore me. Wen Jiu could vaguely feel Luyan's emotions surging, and since she was the one who accidentally caused the trouble this time, she patiently followed him around. In fact, it was not considered wandering around. Luyan originally wanted to go back to the room to calm down alone. He didn't want Wen Jiu to see his cold and violent side. But the other party followed him very patiently, like a little tail that stuck to him. He almost walked around the passenger cabin, but couldn't get rid of it, so he could only take the elevator back to his room with his head down. Ayan, if you have anything that makes you unhappy, you can tell me. I'm particularly good at enlightening others. My friends can prove it for me. Wen Jiu didn't expect that he would wander to the room where Luyan was staying temporarily, but she still persevered in coaxing him, fearing that he would drive her away in anger, and then how could she borrow the spaceship to return to planet 3047. And it was not difficult to enlighten others. Kyoshi, Zikingayu, Chujian and Stephanie, which one had not been enlightened by her? Just when she was thinking about how to enlighten Luyan, he suddenly pulled her into the room and closed the metal door very angrily. She was caught off guard and was hugged into his arms, and the cold mountain mist suddenly came. The next second, Luyan came to her neck, and his warm breath sprayed behind her ears, giving her a strange numb feeling. So she subconsciously pushed him, but not only did she fail to break free, but she was hugged even tighter. This made her act instantly, and she stretched out her arms, hugged Luyan tightly and said, "Good brother. I understand. When people are sad, they all want a hug. As a brother, I will hug you until you recover." The third update has also been delivered on time, please check it out. 030. Whisper. Jiu has never been in the mood for love. In modern times, she only interacts with her fellow brothers and sisters. Even when she goes to school, she rarely interacts with her classmates, which makes her see everyone as her brothers and sisters. I can only say that I hope Yanan can help her get it soon. Open bracket closed bracket closed bracket. Chapter 657 Good Brothers 4. When Jiu's words were like a bucket of cold water, and Luyan's emotions calmed down at this moment. This time he was abrupt. He was about to apologize when he was interrupted by the other party. Okay, hug. When Jiu didn't feel anything wrong at all, and even took the initiative to touch Luyan's back. She remembered that when she comforted Kyoshi before, the other party also hugged her for comfort. She just touched Kyoshi's back casually at that time, and the other party immediately cried louder. It seems that this way of comfort is still very effective. After all, people will inevitably feel sad, and crying is definitely better than holding it in. Besides, she has been getting along well with Luyan these days. When she used to wear the Sunbadeo vest, the other party was like a boy who gave away money, and he would transfer money to her whenever he was free. Now he helps her without any hesitation, and even asked someone to kill Liang Yi. Although Luyan always puts forward conditions for exchange, in fact, she takes advantage every time. A good brother like the other party is really hard to come by. Thinking of this, she sighed deeply. After Luyan calmed down, he originally wanted to let go of the little girl in his arms, but the other party suddenly stroked his back. The tingling feeling like an electric current spread instantly, coupled with the sweetness of the grapefruit that kept coming, which made him reluctant to let go. And when Jiu didn't seem to be angry, and even comforted him softly. He has always been a person who knows how to seize opportunities, otherwise he would not be able to lead the team at such a young age, so he rarely suppressed his reason, and sniffed the sweet breath of the other party. It was not until that sigh fell, that he came back to his senses a little. And when Jiu suddenly said, "It's not a sin for a man to cry, well, he successfully calmed down. Sorry, I just lost control of my emotions. I shouldn't have scared you." He silently let go of the other party, and even stepped back a few steps, deliberately leaving a safe distance. After regaining his senses, he felt that he was too rash just now. Although when Jiu is already able to take care of himself, the other party is essentially still a child, so what he did just now was really a bit too much. After saying this, he was ready to be scolded, but when Jiu just shook his head with a look of concern. "How can you scare me? I'm a person who goes to the port alone. Besides, everyone has sad times. You can come to me next time you are unhappy. I have a shoulder for you to lean on." The other party patted his shoulder as he spoke, and his face was full of "please lean on me." Luyan didn't know why, but he felt like his lines were robbed. Just when he was lost in thought, when Jiu suddenly exclaimed softly, "Hiss, I seem to have split open." The other person touched his left arm and asked, "Do you have a first aid kit?" Seeing this, he stepped forward and picked up Wen Jiu and walked out. "Your injury needs to be treated by a medic, otherwise it will be more difficult to recover if you delay for a long time." Although the other person's left arm was not seriously injured, it was still necessary to apply medicine properly if the injury was too serious. However, they were busy with various things and forgot to find a medic for a second examination, and things like changing the dressing were naturally forgotten. Wen Jiu was picked up again unexpectedly, but this time it was a princess hug, which was completely different from the hug just now. Although it was quite comfortable to be held by someone without having to walk, she thought that her injury was her arm, not her leg, so she turned over and jumped down easily. Moreover, she did not think her injury was serious. She had used her left hand to hold a knife to cook before, and it was not affected at all. It was just that Lu Yan hugged her too hard just now, which touched her injured left arm, making her feel like the wound was split open. Seeing this, Lu Yan did not know what to say for a while. He could only let her go ahead, while he followed behind. As luck would have it, he ran into Lu Xi and Yushi as soon as he turned the corner. Their room was on this floor, so it was normal for them to run into each other. Hey, where are you going, Zio Wen? Yushi was so happy when he saw Wen Jiu. He was just worrying about what excuse to use to find the other party, but he didn't expect to run into him like this. Hearing this, Wen Jiu smiled politely and replied, I was injured in the battle yesterday, and I thought about going to the infirmary to change the medicine. Anyway, there was nothing to hide about going to the infirmary, and Yushi's attitude towards her had always been very friendly. Although the other party came with the intention of poaching, he still had to say hello when he met her now. Just as the two of them were exchanging polite greetings, Lu Xi, who was standing next to them, sneered and then looked at her with a critical eye. Seeing this, she couldn't help but ask with a smile, General Lu, are you going to the infirmary too? Before Lu Xi could answer, Yushi said in a sarcastic tone, Zio Wen, General Lu is in good health, why should he go to the infirmary? Even if you are young, you can't speak without restraint. On the surface, he was reprimanding Wen Jiu for talking nonsense, but in fact, he was implying that Lu Xi had some problems. He is really an adult who is good at being sarcastic. Major General Yu's mouth is getting more and more powerful. Lu Xi could naturally hear the meaning, but he deliberately ignored Wen Jiu's existence and did not answer the question asked by the other party. Thank you for the compliment, General Lu. Yushi felt an irresistible sense of oppression, and he immediately showed an apologetic smile. I suddenly remembered that I have something to deal with, so I'll leave first. Although he was not afraid of Lu Xi's oppression, after all, he was not a person who relied on his mouth to get to the top, but he never liked to cause trouble, so he left to avoid getting into trouble. Anyway, there is young Master Lu here. Even if the other party doesn't like Wen Jiu, he has to bear it silently. And he believes that Wen Jiu will not suffer any loss, and the other party is not someone who can be easily messed with. Facts have proved that his guess is not wrong at all. He has just taken a few steps, and he heard Wen Jiu half regretfully and half teasingly, General Lu has poor eyesight and needs to see a doctor in time. People who are sick cannot delay treatment. He almost laughed out loud when he heard this, but he didn't stop after all. He just held back his laughter and walked towards the room silently. Hearing this, Lu Xi looked at the little girl in front of him for the first time. The other party dared to confront him. Sorry, I have something else. Wen Jiu still had a careless smile. Next time, I will have a good chat with General Lu. After that, she didn't even look at Lu Xi and walked over in a swagger. She knew that the other party inexplicably disliked her. Since he didn't like her, there was no need for her to pretend to be friendly. After all, she didn't like to be nice to someone who didn't like her. Besides, she was not a soldier in the 1st Military District, so she didn't have to worry about Lu Xi punishing her for it. The worst that could happen was that she would be embarrassed before leaving. But who could say what would happen in the future? Anyway, she didn't want to suffer this loss. After Wen Jiu left without looking back, Lu Xi first suppressed the anger in his heart, and then looked at Lu Yan who was about to leave. Brother, if I tell these things to father, what do you think will be the fate of this wild girl? After the words fell, the temperature around them dropped suddenly, and it was so cold that it made people shiver constantly. Lu Yan's dark pupils were dyed with azure blue, and his voice was as cold as ice. I don't think you will tell him. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 658. Where are the people? Where are the people? 1. Don't worry, I will definitely bring Wen Jiu back safely, so you have to take medicine on time and rest well, so that she won't be sad to see you when she comes back. Zhu Wangming coaxed the woman in the picture softly, his heart and eyes were full of passionate and strong affection. The other party was leaning on the soft pillow he had prepared before, listening carefully to his story about what happened on Brickstar. I didn't expect Wen Jiu to be taken away suddenly. It just happened that there was a time difference with when we came. But we were able to successfully occupy Brickstar thanks to her cooperation with the 1st Military District. He didn't know about Wen Jiu being taken away at first, but after finding Kaioshishi and Zikingayu, he understood it from their story. If the other party hadn't dared to cooperate with the 1st Military District, the federal headquarters would naturally not have been able to obtain sufficient evidence, and would not have been able to send the 8th Military District to Brickstar. Although they came with King Russo, the 3rd Military District dared to conduct human experiments. No one can guarantee that the 3rd Military Region will not take action against King Russo. After all, those experimenters dared to kidnap the other party's descendants. It was so cruel that it was unbelievable. Zhu Wangming kept talking for a long time, and the woman in the picture was still listening carefully. She did not show any sleepiness or fatigue. Then you must come back early and pay attention to safety on the way, okay? Her voice was a little hoarse and vague, but the other party heard it very clearly and nodded in agreement. Seeing this, she rarely showed a trace of sadness. In fact, she really wanted to pick up Wen Jiu in person, but now she can only lie in the medical cabin. If she wants to go to the convenience, she has to ask the nurse to help. How can she pick someone up from a long distance? Thinking of this, her eyes were filled with tears. Man, don't cry. Zhu Wangming panicked when he saw this situation. Didn't I find Wen Jiu? We are all a family now. It's the same for you to come, and for me to come. Of course, this family was nonsense he made up, and Uruman had not yet agreed to his proposal. As for whether the other party will agree in the future, it depends on how sincere he is. Just this sentence made Uruman burst into tears and laugh. Zhu Wangming, you should stop being so arrogant. Don't think that I can't beat you up, just because I can't move now. If I want to beat you up, I have plenty of ways. I know. Zhu Wangming was relieved immediately. Then I'll go and get busy now, and I'll tell you when I have new news. He originally wanted to chat with Uruman more. After all, if the other party is in a good mood, it will be conducive to recovery. It's just that Zikingayu came to report that they had just found Chujian, so he had to hang up the phone. There's no way. Who made him a hard-working person? After hanging up the video call, he put on his coat and went out. Although Chujian was not familiar with him at all, he still wanted to take him back. One was to prevent Wen Jiu from running back to look for people, and the other was to give some comfort to poor old Chu. King Russo only brought these parents in, so most of the missing children who were found were taken to the starship by the 8th Military District for strict supervision. The main reason was that these children were too aggressive, and the 8th Military District had not yet checked the list, so they could only be detained temporarily. When the 8th Military District checked the list, these children would be sent to the federal headquarters, and then the headquarters would contact their families according to the information on the list, to pick up the children. Of course, the federal headquarters would be responsible for reimbursing all the interstellar spacecraft expenses for these people. After all, in addition to the children of wealthy families, many of the kidnapped children were abducted from the slums of low-level planets. The federal government is still very strict in managing unregistered children, so this list has been checked for the most part, and only a few children do not have corresponding identity information. The list that the 8th Military District checked was found from Liangyi, which is more accurate than the list of missing children compiled by Zhu Wangming himself. Mr. Zhu, please come this way. Because he was considered a meritorious person in this operation, the soldiers of the 8th Military District were very polite to him. He followed the leading soldier for a while, and then saw Chujian, who was covered in wounds. The other party exuded a terrifying murderous aura at this moment, as if he would pounce on and bite people in the next second. In short, it looked like a ferocious beast. Zhu Wangming was very familiar with the scene in front of him. When he was in the 3rd Military Region Research Institute, he had seen many experimental subjects like Chu Jian. This was also an opportunity for him to choose to leave. Mr. Zhu, you saw it too. It's not that we don't want to let him go, but this person is irrational. We are worried that he will hurt others. Hearing this, he could only say apologetically, this child has been reformed, but I can guarantee that, as long as I'm here, he will not hurt anyone casually. He must take Chu Jian back, otherwise he will be taken to the headquarters by the 8th Military Region. At that time, if he wants to leave, he will have to go through a series of procedures, and he can only let the guardian go through the procedures. Although Chu Jian is already 18 years old, the procedures must be followed. He can't let the old Chu go through it. Besides, if he really left Chu Jian to the 8th Military Region, Wen Jiu would definitely go to the federal headquarters to make trouble, if he knew about it. So no matter what, he had to take the other party away. I still have to ask for instructions before this. The female soldier hadn't finished speaking when she saw Cao Juan walking towards them. So she could only salute respectfully and said, Sister Cao, Mr. Zhu wants to take this person away. Well, I know. Cao Juan smiled gently. Xiao Zhang, you go to rest first. I will contact Mr. Zhu. After that, the female soldier called Xiao Zhang retreated. Zhu Wangming and Cao Juan had met several times before, and they had been in frequent contact because of Cao Shisha's disappearance, so now they can be regarded as old acquaintances. This child is Chu Jian, right? How did he become like this? Hearing this, he shook his head regretfully and said, he has been transformed, and he will riot once the side effects come up. But I have a way to suppress his side effects, so you can rest assured to let me take him away from here. Even if it was just a greeting, he would not forget his mission. Fortunately, Cao Juan didn't care too much about this matter, and the other party directly opened the tightly closed down door. As soon as the door was opened, Chu Jian rushed out like a beast. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming immediately took out the injection from the wisdom ring, and then asked Cao Juan to help him hold the other party down. As the liquid in the injection was pushed forward little by little, Chu Jian, who was held down, also regained consciousness. This is the second update of today. Thank you all for your support and love. 030. Chapter 659. Where are the people? Where are the people? 2. Because Zhu Wangming did help Chu Jian regain consciousness, and with Cao Juan's help, no one came out to stop them when they left. He took him back to the Dawn Star's starship, and when he boarded, he happened to meet number 6 who had just been brought back. Oh, he can't be called number 6 anymore. After the 8th Military District checked the list, they successfully learned the identity and name of number 6. Hey, isn't this my defeated opponent? I thought you would never come back. Huo Xianan greeted him with a smile and patted Chu Jian on the back. He went to the 8th Military District starship for an examination according to the procedure. Because he had a close relationship with number 8, the son of King Russo, he didn't have to be temporarily detained like other seedlings. After the examination confirmed that he was fine, he could return to the Dawn Star's starship and wait for his family to send an interstellar spaceship to pick him up. Although his family background was not as amazing as number 8, he could also be considered to be from a famous family. The Huo family is a big family on the intermediate planet Milestar. They are mainly engaged in ore mining and gem jewelry business. Therefore, they are ranked among the noble families on the advanced planets. Haha, don't you know how you won? Chu Jian retorted mercilessly. You are the second person I have ever seen who won by using rhetoric. Hearing this, Huo Xianan said nonchalantly, anyway, I won, and you can't deny it. But you said I'm the second one, so who was the first one to do this? Although he likes to provoke people to fight everywhere, it doesn't mean that he really has no brains. He had just wanted to steal the floating bubble starter and leave, but when he thought about the promise he and number 8 had made to number 9 before, they would definitely find a way to take number 1 out. Unfortunately, as a business family, the Huo family's family motto is that once a word is spoken, it cannot be taken back. Even if he forgot his identity, he could not forget this family motto. So he took the risk of being discovered and sneaked into no one's residence to find number 1. However, the other party didn't listen to him at all and even wanted to snatch the starter in his backpack. There was no other way. Huo Xianan could only fight with Chu Jian. Originally, according to his strength, he couldn't beat the other party, but he suddenly had an idea and told him everything that number 9 said. This was equivalent to helping Chu Jian regain his memory, and the other party was naturally affected and couldn't attack with all his strength. Then he took the opportunity to sneak attack Chu Jian several times, but he didn't expect that the other party actually remembered what happened to him in the past during the battle with him. He was exhausted by the end of the fight, and Chu Jian finally woke up. However, the other party's thoughts were still very confused, but he would not continue to attack him. Taking this opportunity, he took people out of the residence and went to find number 8 to meet up. If Liang Yi was still on Brickstar, he would never have thought that the god of war he had worked so hard to invite back was actually instigated by the seedlings. He originally wanted to use Chu Jian to suppress other seedlings, but he didn't expect that the other party regained his memory during the battle, so he turned against him on the spot and escaped with number 6. The first one is naturally number 9, Chu Jian answered without thinking. She has a very powerful mouth. Wasn't he brainwashed by Wen Jiu before? That's why he stayed to work for him. As a result, he worked for such a long time, not to mention that he didn't get a single star coin, but he was also captured and taken back to the seedling base. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Zhu Wangming and said, by the way, why didn't I see Wen Jiu? When Huo Xianan went to find him, he talked about some past events and didn't reveal their plan at all. The main reason was that they were fighting in the yard, and if they talked about it, it would be eavesdropped by the surrounding surveillance, so the other party was quite smart and didn't reveal anything. Later, after he followed Huo Xianan to find other people, he wanted to wait until he boarded the Interstellar spacecraft to find someone to ask, but he was attacked by the seedlings not long after entering the cargo hold. Therefore, after all the trouble, he still doesn't know where Wen Jiu went. Wen Jiu? You mean number 9, right? Huo Xianan answered in a carefree manner. She was sent to the research institute by the nursery master and ended up blowing up the port. He has always been a sociable person. Since he was brought back by the soldiers, he has learned a lot of information with his own ability. Even Kaio Shishi and Zikingayu had to ask him for information. Chu Jian was stunned when he heard this. He had been to the headquarters of the 3rd military region several times, so he naturally knew how strict the guards there were. Even the brilliant port used to transport seedlings was filled with soldiers from the 3rd military region. Yes, Wen Jiu did blow up the brilliant port, and she even drove Mecha to blow it up all the way. Seeing his face full of disbelief, Zhu Wangming took the initiative to speak and gave a positive answer. Because the noise caused by Wen Jiu blowing up the brilliant port was so loud, not to mention that they all knew about it. Even Yu Ruman, who was recuperating in the hospital, knew about it. However, this is mainly because the 1st military region arranged war correspondence. After all, human experiments had caused a sensation in the entire Federation 3 years ago, and the Federation headquarters naturally had to arrange people to write articles for this operation. Of course, the purpose of writing articles is not to publicize the strength of other military regions in the 1st military region, but to reassure the citizens of the Federation who are waiting for the results. After all, human experiments have always been something that everyone strongly opposes, otherwise it would not have reached the point of cleaning up the 3rd military region. The media always likes to find explosive points when writing articles, such as Wen Jiu's bombing of the port alone, which is a particularly good explosive point for them, and is enough to attract the attention of the citizens of the Federation. Therefore, everyone knows that there is an anonymous little girl who single-handedly broke into the headquarters of the 3rd military region and bombed the port. Although the press releases issued have hidden Wen Jiu's name and identity, and there are not even her pictures and videos. But Zhu Wangming and his people are not fools, and they can guess at a glance that the so-called little girl is Wen Jiu. Awesome. She's really awesome. Chu Jian silently gave a thumbs up in his heart. She did what I've always wanted to do. He has always had a dream of blowing up the headquarters of the 3rd military region, but he lacks the ability, so he can only think about it. Unexpectedly, when Jiu took action, the other party not only blew up the brilliant port, but also blew up all the way to the headquarters of the 3rd military region. If the headquarters did not need to be preserved for search, he felt that Wen Jiu would definitely blow up the headquarters as well. He had just finished speaking when he saw Kaioshishi running over breathlessly. The other party ran closer and took a few breaths, then asked them, "Have you seen Stephanie? That's seedling number 10. Today's 3rd update is also delivered. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. Chapter 660. Where are the people? Where are the people? 3. Hearing this, the other 3 were all stunned. Obviously, they didn't know Stephanie's whereabouts. Have they not found number 10 yet? Huo Xianan quickly came back to his senses. Although he had learned a lot of information by being good at socializing, he and Stephanie didn't have a good relationship, so he naturally wouldn't deliberately inquire about her. Besides, Stephanie had a better relationship with Wen Jiu's friends, so even if they wanted to find her, it wouldn't be his and no 8's turn to find her. Oh, we can't call her number 8 now. The little prince who should be respectfully called Dawnstar is also the 6th son born to Queen Russo. Well, I just went to ask my sister, and they haven't found Stephanie yet. After saying that, Kaioshishi couldn't help but reveal a trace of worry. She had a pretty good relationship with Stephanie. Although it wasn't as close as she and Wen Jiu, she still liked this strange girl. Chu Jian thought for a moment after hearing her words, and then said, "Don't worry too much, it's just that we haven't found her yet. Now that the 8th military region has captured the base, there is no need to worry that she will be attacked by the nursery master. The main reason is that he doesn't know Stephanie at all, so he thinks that as long as there is no danger to her life, there is no need to worry, even if the other party is missing." Anyway, the 8th military region is conducting a carpet search of the base, and the star track on the port side has also been temporarily closed. This closed search will find someone sooner or later. Yes, Shishi, don't be too anxious, don't worry yourself. Just as they were discussing Stephanie's whereabouts, Zikingayu suddenly appeared with nutrient solution. Seeing this, Chu Jian immediately walked over, unceremoniously took the nutrient solution from his left hand, then opened it, and drank it all, and finally stuffed the empty nutrient solution bottle back. "Isn't this the gold medal dishwasher, brother? Thank you for sending nutrient solution to your brother." After saying that, he also raised his eyebrows slightly. Although his memory is still a little confused, he can't forget the kid who gave him the nickname. You. Zikingayu's face flushed instantly. "This is the nutrient solution I got for Shishi. You are so old, why are you still snatching things from kids?" He didn't care about Chu Jian's past at this time, he only cared about the nutrient solution he was going to give to Kaioshishi being snatched away. However, before he could say a few more words to the other party, his right hand, which was holding the nutrient solution tightly, suddenly became empty. Tun. Ha, cool. After drinking the nutrient solution, the fatigue on Huo Xianan's face also subsided. He has been busy these 2 days. After all, doing physical and psychological examinations is also a very energy consuming thing. It happened that he was in a state of sleepiness and hunger at this time, so he took Zikingayu's nutrient solution familiarly. Anyway, the nutrient solution they drank was the supplies brought by the starship, and there was no situation of taking advantage of others. If the other party really minded, he could just go get the little prince and let the 2 kids drink enough. Seeing this, Zikingayu immediately punched him. Chu Jian was already familiar with him, so it was okay for him to take a bottle of nutrient solution to drink. He could just give his own to Kaioshishi. But he and Huo Xianan didn't know each other at all, and they had only met twice. Although he restrained his temper after becoming friends with Wen Jiu, it didn't mean that he really turned back into a well-behaved boy. Huo Xianan's blatant snatching of his things really made him feel particularly aggrieved. Even if the 2 bottles of nutrient solution were not valuable items, his temper as a young master could no longer be suppressed. However, before his fist reached Huo Xianan, the other party suddenly took a few steps back quickly. Then he said to Kyoshi in grievance, "Little girl, you have a bit of a bad temper. You kicked my clothes dirty. Where can I find new clothes to change?" After he finished speaking, the others noticed that there was a shoe print on Huo Xian'an's body. Maybe it was because Kyoshi had been with Wen Jiu for a long time that her originally mild temper became hardened. She put on a cold face and said, "You can go wherever you like. Who allowed you to bully my friend?" She had long regarded Chu Jian as one of her own, so she would not feel that he did anything wrong when he went to grab the nutrient solution. Besides, Chu Jian often played with them in the past, and he often bullied the weak in order to grab the last bite of food. But even so, it didn't matter, because she and Zikingai would form a faction anyway. Bullying the weak with the strong, and bullying the few with the many are the same. But Huo Xian'an is not one of her own, and the other party is just a temporary alliance. Now that the things that should be completed are almost completed, she will naturally not tolerate Huo Xian'an bullying Zikingai. TSK, I can't afford to offend you. The other party did not show any dissatisfaction, but casually patted the shoe prints on his body. 1 foot for a bottle of nutrient solution, it's fair. But I won't let you go easily next time. Don't say that I bully the weak when the time comes. Huo Xian'an left leisurely after saying this. Anyway, he was in a good mood now that he had recovered some of his memories. In addition, he was wrong to snatch the nutrient solution just now, so he was too lazy to care about it. Besides, he couldn't beat Chu Jian. What if the other party wanted to help the two little ones? Then he would only be beaten. As a person, you still have to be able to bend and stretch. After his figure completely disappeared, Kyoshi looked at Zikingai and said, "Idiot. What will you do without me in the future? You don't know how many people will bully you." I can protect myself." The other party swept away the previous aggressive posture. "My dear sister, don't be angry. You have to believe that I'm actually very strong." Hearing this, she couldn't help but chuckle. "Stop bragging all day long. You can't even beat me." When they first came to the base, they were bullied by other inferior seedlings. Zikingai naturally couldn't swallow these angers, and he would find a way to fight back every time. However, his combat ability was still acceptable in the 3047 Academy, but it was not considered very powerful in the seedling base. Later, it was Kyoshi's hard training and advanced fighting that beat up those seedlings who bullied them, and finally brought him into the ranks of high-quality seedlings. Just when they started bickering again, Zhu Wangming opened his light screen panel. He silently found the picture Uruman had sent him before. "Is this the Stephanie you're talking about? This is the first update of the day, please check it out, little angels." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 661, Looking for Stephanie 1. They look a bit like her. Kyoshi immediately stopped her childish behavior and looked at the girl in the picture seriously. However, when she interrupted the bickering, Zikingai also stopped. "Is this a case of having the same name?" Hearing this, Zhu Wangming scratched his head shyly. "Well, I'm not sure about this. He just received a few pictures sent by Uruman." The other party said that the girl might also be on Brickstar, and if he could find her, he must bring her back. So apart from knowing that the girl's name is Stephanie and there are a few photos of the other party for reference, he doesn't know anything else. Kyoshi compared them very carefully and then gave Zhu Wangming a positive answer. However, Zikingai said in complete disbelief, "How could this be Stephanie? How do you think she looks like the girl in the picture? You can't tell that their facial features are very similar." Kyoshi explained speechlessly. Although she likes to wear heavy makeup, it is difficult to change the direction of her facial features, and her bone structure has not changed much, mainly because she and Stephanie are both keen on makeup and dressing up, so her research in this area is naturally more in-depth than Zikingai. Although the girl in the picture is only 12 years old, she still has very cute baby fat on her face. Although the other party's hair color and eye color are both original light brown, unlike Stephanie who often uses fancy colors, the direction and shape of their facial features are exactly the same. This is also the reason why she can give Zhu Wangming a positive answer. If they are really the same person, I'm afraid I have to look for them again. After listening to her analysis, the other party couldn't help but sigh. Hearing this, Chu Jian, who had been silent, asked curiously, why? Could she also be an experimental subject? It's hard to say, she might just be a seedling. Zhu Wangming pinched his brows with a little worry. He didn't want to have another experimental subject who had experienced fusion. After all, the existing Wen Jiu and Chu Jian were enough to give him a headache. And Yu Ruman said that he must take this girl back, which means that he will have to take care of her when the time comes. He is a doctor and a medical researcher, and he doesn't want to be a nanny with children. However, the girl in the picture was 12 years old when she disappeared. Time flies, and she should be 15 or 16 years old now. Thinking about it this way, it can't be considered taking care of a child. So Zhu Wangming's slightly worried expression eased a lot, and the tone of his explanation to Kao Shishi and others also became lighter. So that's the case, then let's go and look for it separately? After hearing the reason, Ziqingailu made this suggestion without thinking. In fact, even if Zhu Wangming didn't go to find Stephanie, he would drag Kao Shishi to find each other. They have lived under the same roof for so long, it is impossible that they have not developed any friendship. And Hukiki is still with Stephanie. They must find this little fox back, so that Wen Jiu will not be sad after knowing the news. So no matter what the reason is, he hopes to find someone as soon as possible. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming breathed a sigh of relief. You and Shishi should go to rest and leave the rest to us adults. Don't you think so, Brother Hei? Chu Jian, who was suddenly called, was stunned for a moment. He first glanced at the children in front of him, and after seeing their extremely sleepy expressions, he reluctantly agreed with a few words. Alas, who made him an adult? Even if he is only 18 years old now, he is older than Ziqingailu and Kao Shishi. Since he is an older brother, he should take care of the children more. Okay, then I'll take Shishi back to rest. Ziqingailu yawned several times in a row. Brother Hei and Dr. Zhu will have hard work next. He originally wanted to give Kao Shishi and each of them a bottle of nutrient solution, and then go out to look for Stephanie after replenishing their physical strength. But they didn't know that the nutrient solution they brought was drunk by others, causing them to be so sleepy that they can't even open their eyes. Since Chu Jian took the initiative to drink his nutrient solution, it's only right for him to go out and look for people on their behalf. Kao Shishi was relieved when she thought of this and decisively turned around and walked into the interior of the starship. As soon as she left, Ziqingailu naturally didn't want to stay and stuck to her like a sticky candy. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming couldn't help laughing and said, "Let's go, the two of us can barely keep each other company." As he said that, he found the aircraft and supply packs and then took out 2 pistols from the wisdom ring. When Chu Jian saw him holding a gun, his long eyebrows could not help but raise slightly. Didn't they say that the remnants in the base have been cleared out? It's better to be prepared. He silently confirmed the number of ammunition. They have built too many floating islands, and there may be nursery masters hiding in the corners. The 8th military district has indeed captured Brickstar, but this does not mean that they have cleared out all the remnants. After all, Zhu Wangming has been handing over to the people of the 8th military district, so he naturally knows more about the situation than Huo Xianan, who is asking around. Chu Jian was detained by the 8th military district, so he didn't know a lot of information. Okay, he also confirmed No 10 should not leave this port too far. After all, she doesn't have any tools to move. This port is also an independent floating island. Either take the base's dedicated floating bubble, or take an interstellar spaceship or aircraft. Otherwise it is impossible to reach or leave. After confirming the equipment and supply backpacks, the two took the aircraft to search around. However, what they didn't expect was that Stephanie was actually hiding. After she subdued number 2, she went to look for the whereabouts of Kao Shishi and Ziqingailu. But before she got close to the warehouse where they were hiding, She found that the 8th military region had sent people to support them. She wanted to ask those female soldiers for help so that she could find Kyoshishi and the others. But before she took a few steps forward, she suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of retreat. So Stephanie took Ukiki to hide everywhere, and until now they have not been found by the soldiers who came to look for people. Why are you hiding? Don't you want to go home? Even if you don't want to go back, you have to let me go back, right? I have parents and children, although I haven't yet, but I can't hide here with you. As long as you walk out of this cave, you can find people, and then the two of us can go home happily. Don't you want to go home to see your parents, sisters, and brothers? This is the second update of the day. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 662. Finding Stephanie 2. Since Ukiki found out that Stephanie didn't want to leave, he has been trying to persuade her not to think too much. The most important thing is that he can only move as a fox now. If Stephanie is determined not to leave, then he can only be forced to stay here. Although he can transform into a human, he is not a human after all, and he will reveal his true colors sooner or later. And when Stephanie took him to hide, he heard the words of the soldiers who were searching for people. After they found the missing children, they would check the electronic list. If there is no information about the child on the list, it will be recorded and temporarily detained. He didn't want to be caught and used as a pet fox again. Shh, keep your voice down. Stephanie found a place to sit down. It's not that I don't want to leave, I just. In fact, she didn't know what was wrong with her, why she suddenly didn't want to leave the base. Maybe it was because she hadn't recovered her memory, or maybe she didn't want to face the loss of friends. She didn't have any memory and didn't know where her home was, and the friends she had finally found were leaving again. She really didn't want to live alone anymore, but she had no way to stop it. She couldn't stop her friends from reuniting with their families, could she? Although her mental state had always been unstable, she really couldn't do such a thing. But even if she avoided facing the fact of separation, her friends would still leave, so she didn't want to be found by those people. In case everyone found out that she was missing, they would leave a few people here. And life on Brickstar was pretty good, especially without the care of the nursery master. This place was simply a fairyland. Hearing this, Ukiki said mercilessly, "Oh, you're just afraid that they will abandon you, right? People will meet many people in their lives. Some people will accompany you to the end, but some people can only accompany you for a while. Separation is the most common thing." His words hit Stephanie accurately, but the other party rarely refuted his words, and even fell into a very depressed silence. Seeing this, he could only persuade again. "You don't have a home, and neither do I. At worst, we can just make do and wander around the world together." However, he only said these words to comfort Stephanie. Even if he was beaten to death, he would not leave Wen Jiu to wander around. Although he was originally a wild fox, he finally cultivated into a spirit, so he naturally had to do everything he could to cultivate. He had gone through so much to meet Wen Jiu, who could cultivate, so he had to find a way to stay with him no matter what, until he could cultivate alone, or be ranked in the immortal class. It seems a bit difficult to be ranked in the immortal class. Anyway, he had to wait until he could cultivate independently. Hearing this, Stephanie took out the eyeshadow palette from her backpack, and while carefully touching up her makeup, she complained, "Forget it, I don't want to be a wanderer, little fox. If you want to leave, you can leave at any time. I won't force you to stay here with me." As she spoke, she painted the bags under her eyes, and glanced at Ukiki from time to time. However, the other party was dejected and said, "Do you think I want to stay here with you? I can't leave alone." If he could leave, he would have left long ago. Why would he be here to comfort others? Just when he was dejected, he suddenly heard Stephanie say, "Well, how about you turn into my appearance? I should be on the missing list." This idea seems to be a good idea. He instantly perked up. How could he forget his few skills? Transfiguration is the specialty of their fox spirits. Thinking of this, he turned into Stephanie's appearance with a bang. "Wow, you can actually turn into me." A trace of surprise flashed in the other party's eyes, obviously not expecting him to really do it. It's just that Ukiki was transformed according to Stephanie without makeup, So the next second he was pressed by the other party to start putting on makeup. In fact, it is normal to like makeup and dress up, but Stephanie's obsession with dressing up is too deep. Even if the other party is hiding now, she will not miss any opportunity to put on makeup. Such persistence made Hukiki very curious, so he couldn't help but ask softly, "Oh, why are you so keen on makeup and dressing up?" After saying that, Stephanie, who had just taken out her lipstick, was stunned for a moment. I don't know either. She remembered that she didn't like dressing up so much at first, but since she lost her memory of her sister, she began to indulge in all kinds of exaggerated dressing up. It seemed that by doing this, she could regain her lost memories. Oh, forget it. It's normal for girls to like dressing up. Hukiki pursed his lips silently, waiting for her to put lipstick on him. But just as he pursed his lips, a beam of light suddenly hit his face. "Are you Stephanie?" The man's deep and low voice sounded, scaring him so much that he almost turned back into his fox body. After hearing this, Stephanie turned around with some confusion, and then she found that there were two young men standing at the entrance of the cave. She could recognize one of them. After all, number one had a particularly outstanding appearance, and he also knew Wen Jiu, so she silently remembered him. But the other person looked very strange, and she couldn't remember where she had seen him. Seeing this, Hukiki silently hid behind her, fearing that the two people would discover her existence. Just when Stephanie was thinking about how to defeat number one, the other party suddenly left the cave with another stranger. This made her a little confused. Could it be that the other party was not looking for her? "Stephanie, if you don't come out again, I won't take you back to see Wen Jiu. She called and told me to find you." Chu Jian originally wanted to take the person back directly, but he keenly noticed that Stephanie was in a bad mood, so he took Zhu Wangming out of the cave and changed his method. Instead of using violence to solve the problem, it is better to use words to persuade people. Anyway, he heard from Kaioshishi that the other party liked Wen Jiu very much, so this method should work. But he didn't expect that. Just after he finished speaking, Stephanie picked up her backpack and rushed out, and her face was full of expectation. "Did Jiu really ask you to come to me?" Stephanie even forgot about the existence of Hukiki, and only cared about asking Chu Jian, which resulted in her leaving the other party in the cave. Zhu Wangming wanted to use a flashlight to investigate the situation again, but he saw Hukiki still sitting in the cave. What a coincidence that the other party has not had time to change back to her original form, and now she is still showing herself in the image of Stephanie. So a very embarrassing thing happened. Who is the real Stephanie? Today's third update has also been delivered on time. Thank you all for your support, and love again 030, Whisper. I will add more updates in 2 days. Chapter 663, Finding Stephanie 3. The three people and the fox had been staring at each other in the cave until Stephanie, who was eager to find Wen Jiu to confess, told Chu Jian and Zhu Wangming about the existence of Hukiki. In fact, Stephanie wanted to help conceal it, but the two people in front of her would not be easily fooled. There was no way. She could only honestly explain the origin of Hukiki. Fortunately, Chu Jian and Zhu Wangming were very receptive. After all, one of them was a human who could turn into an animal, and the other was an expert who had done research in this area. Now that they knew that there were really animals that could transform into humans, it was not something particularly difficult to accept. It's just that they were all very curious about Hukiki's ability, because even Chu Jian, who successfully fused the genes, could not freely switch between human and animal forms. So he immediately developed an inexplicable good impression, mainly because if he was calculated according to the other party's ability, he could now be regarded as half a monster. This kind of people are more or less sympathetic to each other. So you have been working as a kitchen helper under Wen Jiu. After learning about Hukiki's background, Chu Jian began to inquire about how she and Wen Jiu get along. The main reason was that he had long regarded Wen Jiu as a sister, so he naturally wanted to know more about her life in the base. Yes, Hukiki turned back into her fox form to make it easier for them to take her out of the cave. She took the initiative to accept me as her apprentice, but I'm not her pet. He was afraid that the two would think of him as Wen Jiu's pet, so he kept emphasizing on the road that he was not a pet, but was accepted as an apprentice, and was very useful. Although he still only knows how to freeze water into ice, he believes that he will become a real immortal sooner or later. But he didn't know why Chu Jian looked at him like a fool after hearing what he said. So he immediately struggled in the other's arms. "Oh, do you look down on me? Little human, don't be so arrogant, I will punish you." Seeing this, Chu Jian almost laughed out loud. He just felt that Kiki's brain was not working well. The other party actually believed that Wen Jiu could use magic and cultivate immortals. In this era, who would still do that? It seems that another poor person was deceived by Wen Jiu. Unexpectedly, even the little fox could not escape the other's palm. Wen Jiu, you are extremely evil. But Chu Jian just complained in his heart. Under normal circumstances, he would not take the initiative to expose Wen Jiu's lies. Because he was also a poor guy who was deceived before, so he liked to see others being deceived by Wen Jiu. Yeah, I know my mistake. He first said a few words very cooperatively, and then turned to look at Stephanie on the side. The other party was talking to Zhu Wangming, and it seemed that they were talking about the things in the past. I have some impression of the name Yu Ruman. I should have seen her before. Zhu Wangming just told Stephanie why he came to look for her. After all, he didn't know this little girl at all. He was a stranger to her, so he had to make her feel a little more at ease. Really? He silently opened the light screen panel and found the photo sent by Yu Ruman. "Little girl, can you confirm that the person in the photo is you?" Although he had checked the missing list before coming, and there was only one girl named Stephanie on it, he still had to confirm it for the sake of safety. The other party looked careless at first, but after he called up those photos, he instantly became emotional. This is when I was 12 years old. Stephanie didn't even have the mind to touch up her MacBook. She only felt that there were many missing memory fragments, slowly piecing together her past memories. It's just that the information brought by a few photos is very limited, and she can only barely remember a little bit of memory. But even if it's only a little bit, it's enough of a surprise for her. So she looked at Zhu Wangming expectantly and asked, "Uncle Handsome, do you have any other photos or information?" However, the other party shook his head and said, "Sorry, I was just asked to come here. I don't know anything else." Hearing this, Stephanie's eyes suddenly shone with tears. "Hey, don't cry." Zhu Wangming hated to see girls crying the most. "After you finish the examination, you can go back to planet 3047 with me. Then I will take you to find Manman and ask her, and you will know." He knew that all seedlings had memory loss, so he could understand Stephanie's persistence in regaining her memory. After the words fell, the other party immediately smiled as brightly as a flower. Great. Isn't little Jiu going back to planet 3047 too? Then I can live with her again. Upon hearing this, Chu Jian, who was listening to gossip, immediately said, "She doesn't look good, but she has a nice idea. Wen Jiu's house is already full, and you can only sleep on the sofa in the living room." Although he and Stephanie had only met a few times, he remembered that she was once a person who worked for Liang Yi like himself. The main reason was that he was highly valued by Liang Yi before, so she would reveal some information to him. But he was actually brainwashed and controlled, and then forced to become Liang Yi's pawn. As for what Stephanie's situation was, he couldn't accurately judge it for a while. Besides, Wen Jiu's house was so small. In addition to him, there was Kaioshishi, and now there was a little fox. If the number of people continued to increase, it would be better to change it into a dormitory. Just when he was lost in thought, Stephanie smiled and replied, "It's okay as long as I can be with Zhao Jiu. It doesn't matter if I sleep on the sofa. Oh, don't even think about it." Kiki suddenly interrupted their argument. "The sofa is my territory. Don't even think about snatching it from me." Seeing the three of them arguing over where to sleep, Zhu Wangming couldn't help but feel like he was raising three silly kids. So he cleared his throat and said, "Ahem, although I really don't want to dampen your enthusiasm, I didn't expect you to argue like this. So I have to remind you guys that Wen Jiu has to go to school after returning to planet 3047, which means she has to live in the academy except for holidays. As soon as he finished speaking, the two people and the fox stopped talking instantly. It turned out that they had been arguing for so long just now, but no one could get Wen Jiu. Wait, is Zhao Huahua Zhao Jiu's roommate? Stephanie reacted quickly. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming thought about it carefully for a moment before nodding. They were speechless when they saw this scene. They didn't expect that their quarrel was in vain, and the final winner would be Kaioshishi. Seeing this, Stephanie refused to admit defeat and said, "Then I want to go to the college to study too. I also want to be roommates with Zhao Jiu. This is the first update of today, please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 664 Nini and Year 1. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhu Wangming held his forehead in silence. I see you are 15 or 16 years old now, right? The academy will not accept such a big kid. Although he did not want to hit Stephanie, he found that she seemed to be obsessed with Wen Jiu, even more than the memory he had recovered. This is not a good sign. But after he finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something. Ayan, you can take this opportunity to clear yourself. He looked at Chujian. The 3rd military district is now in a state of panic. You can take the opportunity to appeal to the court. You can't just wander around outside. The 3rd and 5th military districts basically can't escape this time. Because of insufficient evidence, the federal headquarters only cleared them. Those who were in the open were all executed according to the law, but there were still many people hiding in the dark who escaped, which is why human experiments will make a comeback. And this time, before the 3rd and 5th military districts could react, they were attacked by the army sent by the 1st military district on the headquarters planet. Therefore, the evidence found was much more than before, even to the extent that everyone could be sentenced, unlike before when some people could be given a lighter sentence. Dr. Zhu, I know you also hope that I can return home soon, but I'm responsible for 2 lives, and one of them is from the White family. Even if I want to take the opportunity to overturn my verdict, I can't. Chu Jian rarely showed a trace of sadness. It's not that he had never thought about overturning his verdict, but the White family is a tyrant on planet 3047. Before finding evidence to punish them, they will not be affected, even if the 3rd military region is destroyed. When Zhu Wangming heard this, he immediately called up the chat records between himself and Huang Qiumei, which included evidence that the other party had found a close connection between the White family and the 3rd military region. Don't worry, we Fenin have not been idle during this period. In addition to looking for the whereabouts of you and Wen Jiu and others, we have also found a lot of evidence of the White family and the Liu family. Although the people of the Liu family did not play a big role in it, it is a fact that they colluded with the White family to build a seedling breeding base. Wen Jiu and others were supposed to be sent to the sub-base for selection, but for some reason, the 3rd Military Region Research Institute insisted that they skip the selection and go directly to the seedling stage. So they were sent to Brickstar to receive training directly from the seedling stage. Hearing this, Chu Jian's expression eased a lot. Thank you, Dr. Zhu. He has always wanted to overturn his case and return to his grandfather. But his power alone is too small, and he was seriously injured during his escape, so he can only turn into a cat to maintain his life. It is very difficult for him to survive, let alone find evidence to overturn the case. Fortunately, Zhu Wangming and the organization behind him did not stop the investigation. After 3 years, they finally got enough evidence to destroy the White family. So Chu Jian kept looking for Zhu Wangming to inquire about the situation along the way. After all, going to the federal court to appeal requires preparation in advance, and he really wanted to overturn the case as soon as possible. When the White family suffered the sanctions they deserved, he could go back and meet his grandfather. At the same time, after drinking the nutrient solution, Kaioshishi and Zekingai's mental fatigue was relieved to a certain extent, so their sleepiness was not so strong. So the two simply sat in the reception room, playing games with Huo Zion while waiting for Zhu Wangming to bring people back. Anyway, everyone came from the seedling base, so they could barely be considered classmates. Moreover, Zikingayu and Kyoshishi's emotions came and went quickly, and Huo Xianan took the initiative to bring a bunch of snacks to clear up the past, and the three of them ate and chatted and soon became friends. TSK, I didn't expect your skills to be worse than mine. Zikingayu looked at the big red win word on the screen and couldn't help laughing. He had suffered enough these days, and it was rare for him to have such a relaxed and happy time. Hearing this, Huo Xianan sneered with disdain on his face. That was because I, the little master, saw that you were young, so I'll let you go, you know, so that you wouldn't be beaten by me and cry like crazy. Although he knew that his game skills were terrible, he couldn't admit it at this time. Oh, let's play another round. Zikingayu immediately clicked on another round. I'm going to beat you today. You call me brother. Just as the two of them were making a lot of noise, Kyoshishi, who was sitting next to them, couldn't help but sigh. She sent many messages to Wen Jiu, but why didn't he reply to her online? Although her and Zikingayu's wisdom rings were taken away by the nursery master, there were sufficient spare wisdom rings in the supplies of the 8th military region. So she ran to Kyojuan to ask for two first, just to be able to contact Wen Jiu, who was far away on Doris Star. But it was late at night on Doris Star, and the other party should have gone to bed, and didn't reply to her. Thinking of this, her depression also dissipated a little. Shishi, have you seen Dr. Zhu? Kyojuan suddenly pushed the door open. I wanted to find him for something important, but I couldn't get through on the phone, and couldn't find him. As she said that, she strode in and sat down next to Kyoshishi, watching the other two children play games. Perhaps because she was Kyoshishi's sister, Zikingayu and Huo Xianan only smiled and said hello, and then continued to play games. If Zikingayu's parents had come, he would have thrown away the controller and pretended that he was not playing. Dr. Zhu and Brother Hei went to find Stephanie. Kyoshishi moved closer to Kyojuan. Cousin, when can we return to planet 3047? After the words fell, the other party thought for a moment before answering. It may take another 3 or 4 days. We are still cleaning up here to make sure that there are no fish that slip through the net. Although there is almost no land on Brick Star, there are only artificial floating islands. However, there are as many as 3-digit floating islands here, and the soldiers of the 8th military region are still searching one by one to prevent any fish that slip through the net. In addition, this incident attracted the attention of the citizens of the Federation more than the last time, so they must ensure that all the relevant personnel are arrested and brought back. Hearing this, Kyoshishi couldn't help but sigh. She had suffered for such a long time in the base, and now she realized how precious her previous life was. She didn't want to go back to see her family. After all, her relationship with her parents had broken down. And she also learned from Kyojuan that her parents actually went to Zikingayu's house to make trouble and wanted to forcibly sell her to the Z family as a daughter-in-law. This incident made her speechless and ashamed, so she didn't want to go back to see her family even more. She just wanted to go back to the academy to study as soon as possible and then return to her previous normal life. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 665 Nini and Yeo 2. While Kyoshishi was leaning against Kyojuan to tell her story, Zhu Wangming took Stephanie back to the port. He first asked Chujian to take Ukiki back to the Dawn Star starship to rest, and then took Stephanie to the starship of the 8th military district for examination. There is no way. This is the rule set by the 8th military district. It is mainly to check the physical and psychological conditions of the missing children, so as to give them different treatments according to the actual situation. Although these children have been temporarily locked up by the 8th military district, it does not mean that they have been abandoned and cannot receive treatment. They are still well fed and well provided by the 8th military district, and they will be taken for any treatment that should be done. To put it bluntly, it is just a disguised form of house arrest. However, the 8th military district has a reason for doing this. The main reason is that many of the rescued children have been successfully brainwashed by the base. They only want to escape from the starship and even take the initiative to attack the soldiers. Therefore, for the sake of safety, they can only be temporarily under house arrest. "Mr. Zhu, you can take her away." Stephanie followed a soldier out of the medical room. Although she was diagnosed with an unstable mental state, she did not show much aggression at present, so she was judged to be a child who could be released. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming first thanked him politely, and then he took Stephanie away. After all, he came here on the starship at Dawnstar, and King Russo promised to send a spaceship to send them back, so he did not think of staying on the starship of the 8th Military District. Besides, after the comprehensive cleaning of the nursery base is completed, the 8th Military District will go to the federal headquarters to report, and he does not want to go to the Imperial Capital Star with extra effort. It's too troublesome. Just when Zhu Wangming walked to the elevator door, he happened to meet Cao Juan, who came in the elevator. As soon as the other party saw him, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Dr. Zhu, I finally found you. I want to ask about that little girl Nini." Cao Juan looked at the girl in front of her in disbelief. She didn't expect to find her here. You are Sister Wangwen?" Stephanie tilted her head in confusion. She only felt a few images flashing through her mind, but these images were so fleeting that she could hardly see clearly. Hearing this, Cao Juan immediately nodded and said, "Yeah, don't you remember me?" "Sorry, I can't quite remember." Stephanie's eyes were full of confusion. She could subconsciously call out the nickname of the sister in front of her, but she couldn't remember where she had seen her. But there was one thing she was sure of, she definitely knew this sister. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming couldn't help asking, "Could it be that you also know this girl?" "Of course I do." Cao Juan looked at him strangely. "This is Sister Ya's sister. I've met her a few times before." But before he could answer, he was interrupted by Stephanie. "Who is Sister Ya?" Cao Juan was a little confused when she heard this. Although she knew that missing children all had memory loss, she didn't expect Stephanie to even forget her own sister. The other party and that person are sisters. How could they forget such a thing? The brainwashing of the 3rd military region is too terrible. Just when she was lost in thought, Stephanie couldn't help but pull her anxiously and began to ask about her sister. So she could only accompany the other party back to the Dawnstar's starship. She also told a lot of things she knew on the way. "At first glance, I thought it was Sister Yap, but I didn't expect to find it was you after careful identification. You are exactly the same as your sister now, and you both like this kind of exaggerated and bright dress. Have you really forgotten your name? Your sister is Cynthia Sanchez, and you are Stephanie Sanchez. But your sister hates people calling her by her last name, so everyone only calls her by her first name." Stephanie listened and recalled carefully, and the missing memory was finally pieced together. But she couldn't remember too much for the time being, just recovered some key memories. She finally knew, while Liang Yi drugged her, not only to achieve the purpose of controlling her, but also to make her become like her sister. No wonder the other party always gave her some information about her sister. No wonder she became keen on exaggerated makeup and clothing. And no wonder she began to like eating all kinds of sweets. Eating sugar can keep her mental state stable, but more importantly, it can make her look like Cynthia. But why? Why did Liang Yi insist on her becoming like her sister? Although she missed and loved her sister very much, and she now really liked exaggerated dress up, it did not mean that she wanted to become, or even replace her. She recalled and spoke out her confusion in a chaotic manner, which made Cao Juan, who wanted to comfort her, instantly furious. "I thought he was too much to kill Sister Yap, but I didn't expect Liang Yi, a beast, to dare to treat you like this." As she said that, she quickly grabbed Stephanie and asked softly, "He didn't do anything excessive to you? Don't be afraid, Sister Wanwan will definitely help you get revenge." Although Cynthia has always been alienated from everyone, the two were promoted to the same military school from the same college. In addition, Cynthia had asked her for help when she escaped, so she and her were friends since childhood. Therefore, she knew a thing or two about some things, such as Cynthia was kidnapped by Liang Yi before. The other party had to work very hard to escape, and had to hide everywhere to avoid being caught. And on the way of hiding, Stephanie was lost. Cynthia should have been an indispensable weapon refiner in the military region, but now she is trying to make money while fleeing, and then use the money to find out the whereabouts of her sister. It can be said that, because of Liang Yi, this scumbag, Cynthia's life was ruined. It turns out that I was also kidnapped. Stephanie didn't know what to say after hearing this. I thought she abandoned me. Although she never believed that she was abandoned, Liang Yi would find someone to brainwash her from time to time, trying to make her believe that she was abandoned by her own sister. Fortunately, she is not an abandoned child, and her sister still loves her. I just came to see Dr. Zhu to find out your whereabouts. Kyojuan continued to explain. Sister Yat sent photos to teacher you and me. She said that you are likely to be in the base. Today's third update has been successfully delivered. Thank you again for the support of the little angels. 030. Whisper. Cynthia is the big sister who helped Jiu modify the golden whip. If the little angels look through the previous chapters, they will find that Cynthia and Stephanie have a lot in common, and there are a few small foreshadowings in the previous chapters. Open bracket closed bracket exclamation mark closed bracket. Chapter 666. I'm determined to make this friend one. At first, Zhu Wangming was still thinking about how to bring the person back, mainly because the other party had nothing to do with him, and it would take some effort to take the person away. Fortunately, with Kyojuan's enthusiastic help, it would not be so difficult for him to take the person away. Dr. Zhu, then please take care of Nini first, and I will come to you to talk in detail after I'm done. After the other party sent them to the starship at Dawnstar, he turned and left. The 8th Military Region is still rushing to search the base. As the captain of the armed mecha soldiers, Kyojuan naturally has to go with them to search. It is not easy for her to find time to find Zhu Wangming. After all, if she does not lead by example, it is easy to lack prestige, which makes it difficult for her to convince others. Zhu Wangming retired from the military region and naturally understood her hasty coming and going. Stephanie has already started her memory recall, and she can no longer receive more information for a while. The main reason is that she has lost her memory for too long, and various memory fragments are pouring in like moisture, leaving her in an extremely trance. Therefore, Zhu Wangming took her back to the rest room and did not let Kyoshi and others come to disturb her recovery. Stephanie is actually Sister Ya's biological sister? Kyoshi sighed while eating fruit. Sure enough, the fate between people is wonderful. When she first met Stephanie, she felt that she was somewhat similar to that big sister. It's just that there are many people who like to dress up in an exaggerated way, so she didn't think about it in depth. Who knew that Stephanie was actually related to Cynthia, and the story between them was so ups and downs. Zikingayu and Huo Xianan on the side stopped playing games. They put down the controller and listened carefully to Zhu Wangming's story. No wonder Stephanie and Sister Ya are so similar. Although Zikingayu had only met Cynthia once, he had a deep impression of her. Hearing this, Huo Xianan first stuffed a grape into his mouth and ate it, then asked curiously while chewing, "How come you have all seen No 10's sister?" Although he already knew Stephanie's real name, he had been in the base for a long time, so he was more accustomed to calling her by her number. It's a long story. Zikingayu raised her chin proudly. If you want to know, then ask me to tell you. Huo Xianan couldn't help but snort when he heard this. Hey, you dare to show off in front of me? Aren't you afraid that I will spank you? He was 3 years older than Zikingayu, so to him, the other party was just a kid. If the kid didn't listen, he would naturally be spanked. Zikingayu knew very well that his strength was not as good as Huo Xianan's. So he suddenly had an idea and continued to taunt. Heh, why should I fight alone when I can fight in a group? You only have one friend here, number 8, but I have Shishi, Heejin's sister Ni. He had just finished speaking when number 8, who was named, pushed the door open and walked in. The other party had changed into a prince's dress. The white coat made of mercerized fabric sparkled under the light, and the golden embroidery line outlined beautiful patterns on the clothes. The slightly open neckline revealed the protruding collarbone, and a finger-wide aurora gold necklace fell down. The long golden hair that was tied up all year round also fell down, and only when the light shone could you see that there were strands of gold entangled in his long hair. He walked forward without looking sideways, with the elegance and nobility that belonged to the royal family. The gold earrings on his ears would swing with his steps, making his originally handsome face even more eye-catching. Seeing this, Chu Jian yawned and said, "Are you here to show off your wealth?" Huo Xian burst into laughter when he heard this. No wonder there is a saying that clothes make the man. Now I dare to believe that you are really a prince. He was taken to seeking Russo with number 8 before, so he naturally knew that the other party was indeed a genuine prince. However, he had always listened to No 8's words as a joke because he did not believe that a prince would be kidnapped to the base, so he still couldn't believe that this was true. "Don't laugh." Number 8 looked at him speechlessly. "I don't want to come to see you dressed like this." Hearing this, he laughed even louder. "Why? Are you afraid of being robbed by us?" Chu Jian couldn't help laughing with him. Kaioshishi and Zikingayu on the side did not join in the teasing. The two of them just sat together quietly and complained in a low voice. "Just for his Aurora gold jewelry, I think Jiu will fall deeply in love with number 8. What are you talking about? Is Jiu the kind of person who is greedy for money?" Such a rebuttal made Zikingayu subconsciously answer, "Isn't it? You are the only one who talks too much." Kaioshishi tapped his forehead lightly. "I didn't expect that the costumes of Liming Star are so exquisite. I wonder how many star coins this outfit will cost." It's just that the speaker is unintentional and the listener is attentive. After listening, he silently calculated his New Year's money over the years. Just as he was quietly calculating, number 8 suddenly cleared his throat and said, "Good evening, everyone. Please allow me to introduce myself here. I'm Luoyi Russo, the 6th Prince of Liming Star. Thank you very much for your support during this period." Before the other party finished speaking, he was interrupted by Huo Xian. "Why are you so unfamiliar? You are not going to reward people based on their merits, right? Everyone here is not short of star coins." He has always disliked this kind of official language, and now he heard Luoyi also talk in these words. He wanted to strip the prince's dress off and give him a friend who was quiet but normal. But the most important thing was that when he met King Russo before, the other party wanted to give him Aurora gold as a gift. He didn't want to let the damn money taint the pure friendship. Besides, he was a member of the Huo family and he wouldn't be short of a little star coins. And as far as he knew, Zikingayu and Kaioshishi's family background was not bad. So when he heard Luoyi speak so officially, he knew that the other party was going to give gold. But he thought that the few people who were allies betrayed him after he finished speaking. "Haha, who did you hear that from? I'm short of money." Chu Jian said it very bluntly. He himself came from a civilian family, and now he owed Wen Jiu countless star coins. It can be said that he was the poorest among the people present. Zikingayu didn't want to get involved, but he thought that Kaioshishi liked those jewelry, so he wanted to take this opportunity to ask Luoyi if he could give him a discount. After all, he still has his pride, and he can't ask for something like this. So he asked politely, "Brother Luoyi, if I want to buy a pair of earrings like the ones you wear, how many star coins will it cost?" Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 667. I'm determined to make this friend too. Hearing this, Luoyi was stunned for a moment, then waved his hand and replied, "My kind is a special style that can only be worn by the royal family, but if you like it, I can give you a few pairs that ordinary people can wear." After saying this, he clapped his hands gently. A group of servants suddenly filed in, each holding a small box in their hands. "This is a little gift from me, please accept it." After his voice fell, the servants opened the boxes one after another, and golden lights flashed out instantly. Such a generous move made everyone present silent. After all, no one would have thought that there were several shining gold bars in the box. "I see this specification. It should be a common gold bar in the Federation." Although Zhuang Ming's assets are not as good as others, he has accumulated a lot of knowledge. He tried his best to suppress the surprise on his face, and then picked up a gold bar to check it out. The gold bar of excellent quality sparkled under the light, and the front was engraved with the pattern of the Dawn Star and the Federation language. Seeing this, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Why is it engraved in the Federation language instead of the Dawn Star's planetary language?" "Because these are gold bars commonly used in the Federation, there is no engraving of our planetary language." Luo Yi answered his question politely and then turned to look at Huo Zion, who looked depressed. The other party's face was full of the words "I'm not happy," and he didn't seem to be satisfied with the gift at all. To be honest, he didn't know how to deal with this situation, because the tradition of Dawnstar is to give gold bars to friends. Gold bars can be exchanged for equivalent star coins, and can be melted and made into favorite jewelry. That's why he brought so many gold bars here, wanting to give them as gifts to the friends present. Now Kaioshishi and others all showed a happy expression. Only Huo Zion looked very depressed. Is there anyone in this world who doesn't like gold? Just as Luo Yi was silently thinking about the response plan, a servant came over and reported to him softly that Stephanie's gold bar gift box had been delivered, and the other party also took out a stuffed rabbit as a return gift for him. Rabbit? He took the doll from the servant. Before he could take a closer look, Huo Zion strode over and snatched the rabbit doll away. I don't want your gold bars. The other party tossed the rabbit like a ball a few times. I'll accept this doll. Seeing this, he couldn't help but smile helplessly and said, "This is a return gift from Stephanie, but if you like it, take it." At this point, he paused for a moment before continuing. By the way, when will Wen Jiu be able to reunite with us? He prepared enough gold bars to buy things, but it was a pity that Wen Jiu was unwilling to sell the pet fox, so he could only buy some fur balls as a second choice. Jiu's affairs have not been resolved yet, and I guess we can only meet on our native planet. Kaioshishi was struggling whether to accept the gift, but when the servant beside her told her about the traditions of Dawnstar, she and Zikingayu put away the gift box in tacit understanding, and they secretly agreed to send some local specialties to Luo Yi as a return gift when they returned to planet 3047. But just as she finished speaking, the wisdom ring began to flash. Seeing this, she turned on the light screen panel with expectation. "Hey, you are all here? Are you having a party so late at night?" There is a time difference between Doris Star and Brick Star. When Kaioshishi was playing with Zikingayu, when Jiu was playing chess with Zhaogong in bed, when she fell asleep at dawn, it was only 12 o'clock in the middle of the night on the other side. She originally wanted to wait for a while before calling back, but she thought that what if Kaioshishi and the others were not asleep, just waiting for her to reply to the message or video call, so she tentatively clicked on a video call. Unexpectedly, Kaioshishi and the others were not only awake, but also sitting together chatting, playing, and eating supper. Joji. It feels like a long time since we last met. Zikingayu spoke first. When she saw her appear, we were going to go back to the room to sleep, but brother Luo Yi brought people to give us gifts. But before he could say a few words, he was pushed aside by Kaioshishi. "Oh, Zikingayu, please move away. You have been blocking my view for a long time." Seeing this, Chujian, who had been playing with the gold bars, said slowly, "Wen Jiu, who will take care of the children, if you are not here? Look, these two children are about to fight." As if to confirm his words, Kaioshishi and Zikingayu really started to fight. Of course, neither of them used much strength. They were just playing around with you, pushing me and punching me. Okay, these two are so old and still calling them children. Don't act like you can't live without me. When Jiu was chatting with them while combing her hair. After she woke up, she quickly washed and changed her clothes, so now only her hair was left to be taken care of. However, she grasped the key point from Zikingayu's words, so she first found a pair of scissors and started to gesture, and then asked, while slowly cutting hair, "Who is brother Luo Yi? Is there a gift for me?" Hearing this, Luo Yi, who was called, walked to the light screen panel. "So your real name is Wen Jiu." She was pulling her hair to gesture the length, and the other party suddenly appeared on the screen, which startled her, and she cut it with a pair of scissors. This oblique cut seemed to be a silence button, making the person named Luo Yi enter silent at the same time. Jiu, your hair." Kaioshishi on the side couldn't help but cover her mouth in panic. This. Zikingayu, who was not good at controlling his emotions, laughed as soon as he saw this picture. But before he laughed a few times, he was choked by saliva. Seeing this, Chujian and Huo Zion, who were sitting farther away, came over. After taking a look, They moved away from the light screen panel and then tacitly laughed out loud. Laugh, laugh, laugh. I'll make you to laugh to death. Wen Jiu was not really angry because she didn't care much about her appearance. She usually just kept it clean and fresh. She never changed her hairstyle every 2 or 3 days or even every day like Kyoshi and Stephanie. After saying that, she continued to trim her hair expressionlessly. It was just that the slanted cut just now was really hard to trim. After thinking for a moment, she also cut the other side and then trimmed it to make her so-called 8-character bangs. It looks much more comfortable this way, but it's not very convenient when fighting. There's no way. Although she doesn't care about the wrong cut, Chujayan's laughter is really too loud. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Whisper. I can't believe it. Jiu's bangs turned out like this _ Little angels who want to see pictures can check the top of the book friend circle. There are pictures of Jiu's character design in the teenage period. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 668, Meeting an Old Friend and Getting Revenge 1. After solving the problem of hairstyle, Wen Jiu asked about what happened just now. So she learned from the only normal Kyoshi that the name of number 8 was Luoyi Russo. In fact, this name is not important. The important thing is that the other party is actually a prince, and he is a real prince with a mine at home. When she heard Kyoshi say that Luoyi gave each of them a box of gold bars, she realized that she was wrong. This is not a mine at home. This is clearly a home in the mine. So Wen Jiu didn't care about the scissors just now. She wanted to know if Luoyi still needed friends. Well, if you are willing to be friends with me, it's okay. Luoyi's face inexplicably flushed. Then when can I go to your house to play? Hearing this, although she had some doubts, she soon figured it out. It's normal for friends to want to visit each other's homes. But she is still trapped on Doris Star and doesn't know when she can return to planet 3047. I can ask my father to send a spaceship to pick you up. The first military region will not force you to stay there. Luoyi had regained his composure at this time. He didn't have any other thoughts, but just wanted to have more contact with Wen Jiu. The main reason was that he had read a lot of frontline information in the past 2 days, and the opponent's combat effectiveness was higher than he imagined. People always tend to admire the strong. Even a prince like him is no exception. It's okay, my good brother will send me back. Wen Jiu waved his hand casually. Just keep the gold bar gift box for me. She still had some things to deal with. If she left Doris Star so early, she would be at a big loss. In fact, she originally wanted to sleep for a while, but Lu Yan said that he had something urgent to find her, so she got up and packed up despite her sleepiness. She made this video call when she had time. Unfortunately, there was Kyoshi among this group of unreliable people. The other party quickly understood her intention of calling and then briefly recounted what had happened recently. Then she found out that Stephanie was actually Cynthia's biological sister, and that Ukiki was forced to pretend to be a pet fox to be with the other party, and how Chujayan regained his memory and his alienation worsened. Your mother Yu has recovered very well recently, but she is resting now. If you have anything to say, just send her a message. Don't disturb the patient's rest, okay? Zhu Wangming rarely showed a stern attitude in front of Wen Jiu. It was because he was worried that the other party would call Uruman that he resumed his usual cold attitude towards strangers. Because Uruman had been worried about Wen Jiu before, she didn't get a good rest every night. Now that she finally found him, she can finally calm down a little and have a good sleep comfortably. Hearing this, Wen Jiu said with deep understanding, I see, old man. You should worry about yourself. How can you attract people with this appearance? After she finished speaking, she did not wait for Zhu Wangming to refute her and continued, by the way, before you come back, help me dig some soil. There is a lot of black and moist soil outside the house where I live. The other party was puzzled when he heard this. "What do you want the soil for?" "I'll take it back to grow vegetables," she answered confidently. "The soil is quite magical. I don't know if it is a specialty of Brickstar. Since I'm here, I have to bring something back." After all, her life motto is that, since you are here, you can't waste your efforts. Although Zhu Wanming was speechless by this righteousness, he still asked seriously about the characteristics of the soil. "I see, you are talking about the special pure black soil, which is produced by Interstellar. Interstellar is the most developed agricultural planet in the Federation, mainly because it has a unique natural environment. The most famous thing is the various soils it produces, which are not only suitable for growing vegetables, but also for growing herbs, and each type of soil has different special effects." He gave Wen Jiu a kind of soil during the spring festival before, but that soil was different from the special pure black soil described by the other party. The one he gave was considered a special cultivation soil for herbs, while the one Wen Jiu said was a special soil for growing vegetables and fruits. The price of the former was so high that he dared not buy more, but the latter could be bought with a little star currency. So he said these words and asked the other party to order soil from the Star Network supermarket after returning to planet 3047. However, Wen Jiu shook his head after listening. "No, why should I spend money to buy something that can be obtained for free?" She was under house arrest in the nursery base for such a long time. If she didn't take some wool and leave, wouldn't she lose a lot of money? Although Zhu Wanming had seen stingy people, he had never seen such stingy as her. "How many star coins can you spend on that little bit of soil? Besides, where can I find tools to dig for you?" He had just finished speaking when the wealthy Luo spoke up. "Don't worry, my starship has all kinds of tools in stock. If you need them, I will ask my servants to find them immediately." "Thank you so much." He was choked with anger in an instant. Why are these kids more difficult than each other? He just thought Luo was a good kid, but he didn't expect that he was also a natural black-bellied person. Wen Jiu wanted to laugh at her when she saw this, but suddenly the doorbell rang. So she hurriedly hung up the video call, casually scratched her newly trimmed bangs, and then she walked quickly towards the door. "Did you cut your hair?" Lu Yan stood at the door with a bottle of nutrient solution. He came to Wen Jiu today mainly for two things. One was to let him try whether his special nutrient solution was effective. The main reason was that, if Wen Jiu didn't take medicine to suppress alienation, his animal ears and tail would be exposed for a long time. Although he didn't mind it, and even thought it was cute, he didn't want others to look at him strangely. "Yeah." Wen Jiu raised her head slightly and looked at him, her grey blue eyes flashing with joy. "Are you here to bring me breakfast?" As she said that, she took the nutrient solution carelessly. "I asked someone to make this according to the formula." Lu Yan still stood at the door and kept a polite distance. "You try to see if this formula works first. If not, I'll have someone continue to study it." Hearing this, Wen Jiu knocked open the lid of the nutrient solution and then drank it all up. "It doesn't taste like anything." She turned around and found a tissue. "I thought it tasted like blueberries because of this color." Lu Yan had been observing her behavior, and when he saw a few strands of hair stuck to her collar, he felt that an opportunity had come. So he pretended to say casually, "Well, I didn't ask anyone to add flavors in it. If you like, I'll add them for you next time. By the way, there are a few hairs here." However, before he could stretch out his hand to twist it, Wen Jiu slapped the hair away and said, "Thank you. What did you come to see me for today?" He silently withdrew his hand that was about to reach out, tried his best to restore his usual calmness and said, "Some soldiers caught a few escaped personnel from the 3rd military region, and I think you will be interested in them." Today's third update was also delivered on time. Thank you all for your support and love again. 030. Chapter 669. Meeting an old friend and getting revenge too. Originally, the remaining things had nothing to do with Wen Jiu, but the 1st military region caught another group of fugitives last night. All the captured personnel from the 3rd military region had to be interrogated so that their destination could be decided based on their situation. In order to resolve the unrest in the 3rd military region as soon as possible, the supervision camp accelerated the interrogation day and night. Therefore, the fugitives brought back last night were sent for interrogation after being examined. The problem was that several of the 3rd military region personnel mentioned Wen Jiu in their confessions. Since Liu Yan had taken Wen Jiu to the supervision camp and ordered people to collect Liang Yi's tools, the people in the supervision camp knew the importance of Wen Jiu, so when they found that there was a confession related to him, they immediately sent people to report to Liu Xi and Liu Yan. The former only glanced at the confession and didn't care anymore, while the latter ran to find Wen Jiu after hearing the news. Because you are not from the 1st military region, I cannot reveal their confessions. Liu Yan took Wen Jiu to the special aircraft, and he gave a few official instructions on the way. But these words were not so much for the other party to hear, but for the others who were traveling with him. Because the supervision camp detained many important personnel from the 3rd military region, Liu Yan still followed the rules and took a few soldiers with him to show that he was acting impartially and did not violate the rules. It's okay, I understand. Fortunately, Wen Jiu blinked in a very cooperative manner, but I really can't think of who I know from the 3rd military region now. Maybe it was because she had just woken up not long ago. Her brain was not very sharp at the moment. Except for the seedling nursery masters whose appearance and names were unknown at the seedling base, she really couldn't think of who she knew from the 3rd military region. Oh, Zhu Wangming was one. But the other party had not committed any crime, and he was far away on Brickstar. Who else is from the 3rd military region? Wen Jiu walked into the supervision camp while thinking. When she and Liu Yan entered the interrogation room, her sleepiness was swept away at this moment, replaced by a raging anger. Hey, Teacher Liu, long time no see. She half squinted and looked at the woman sitting opposite. The other party is no longer as pure and lovely as before, and her shrewd eyes have become extremely empty. The originally smooth black hair is now like a tangled mess, and the white gauze dress is stained with mud when she escapes in a hurry. The whole person looks dirty, haggard and embarrassed, and is completely different from the woman, who always has a friendly smile in the past. When Liu Zuoying was caught by the 1st military region, she had given up the idea of escaping from the supervision camp. Now she just wants to get a chance to confess and be lenient. But she didn't expect that what she was waiting for was to meet an old friend, and that person was Wen Jiu, who had a blood feud with her. So she stared in disbelief, staring at the girl outside the glass window. Perhaps it was because Wen Jiu had been wasted for a long time, and now he looked like a sharp blade that had not yet been unsheathed. The white uniform of the 1st military district was worn by Wen Jiu. Although it did not have the majestic and solemn aura of the soldiers of the military district, it had an inexplicable strong sense of oppression. The short platinum hair added a bit of youthful heroism, and the grey blue eyes staring at her were full of mockery. Liu Zuoying felt a lot of indignation just by looking at Wen Jiu's face. The other party was just a small seedling. Why did she treat her in such a condescending manner? Even if she was just an insignificant marginal staff member of the 3rd military district, it was not the turn of an unknown and powerless person like Wen Jiu to come and laugh at her. So she replied viciously, "How are you, little Wen Jiu? If you have the time to laugh at my joke, you might as well care about your mother." She still remembered that Uruman was burned by blue-white with flames. Even if she didn't die, she would be disabled for life. Thinking of this, she felt much better. Anyway, she was just a pawn following orders, and according to federal law, she would not be sentenced too heavily. And if she behaved well in prison, she might be able to get a chance to reduce her sentence. In this way, she would only have to serve a few years in prison at most, and she would be able to return to her beautiful life after being released from prison. Unlike Uruman, the silly woman who desperately protected Wen Jiu, she didn't know whether the other party was dead or paralyzed now. It's a pity that the Burning Flame organization has pulled out most of the nails, and even she can't get more information. Otherwise she can use Ruman's situation to stimulate Wen Jiu. However, Wen Jiu's reaction was different from what Liu Zuoying expected. Not only did he not attack her on the spot, but he smiled happily and sat down. "I would like to thank Teacher Liu for his concern on behalf of my mother. My mother is recovering well and will probably be able to get out of bed for rehabilitation training by the end of the year. Wen Jiu could tell that Lu Zuang didn't know these things, so he told her what Zhuang Ming had told him. Didn't the other party think that Yu Rumen's life was over? Then she wanted to let him know that Yu Rumen was doing very well now. Hearing this, Lu Zuang was stunned for a moment, and then she yelled like a madman, "Impossible. You are lying to me." She saw Yu Rumen being burned to that state with her own eyes. It was a blessing that she was not burned to death directly. How could she possibly be able to do rehabilitation training by the end of the year? So she just thought that Wen Jiu was deceiving her. Yeah, if you say so, then so. The other party pretended to shrug helplessly. Anyway, Teacher Lu, you will have to go to jail for at least 5 years. When you go in, I will bring Teacher Yu to see you. Lu Zuang's heart sank when she heard this, and she didn't know how to refute it. But she still insisted, I will just go to jail for a few years at most, not like your mother who has to suffer for a lifetime. Yu Rumen was so badly injured at that time, she would never believe that she could recover. Hearing this, Wen Jiu sneered, really? Do you think I will let you go to jail for a few years easily? You don't think I came here to see a joke? She will never forget that day. The endless flames illuminated the dark night like day, but the sun in her heart fell in the interweaving of red and black. Don't forget that it is illegal to abuse prisoners of war. Lu Zuang looked at the anger burning in her eyes, and for a moment she actually felt a little afraid. Hearing this, her smile became even wider. She stood up and walked to the glass window step by step, then stretched out her hand and gently gestured at her neck. It is illegal to abuse prisoners of war, but are you considered a prisoner of war? Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030, Whisper. There are 5 updates today. That means 2 more updates. Chapter 670, Meeting an Old Friend and Getting Revenge 3. Lu Zuang panicked when she heard this, because strictly speaking, she was not a prisoner of war in the military district. She was just a small marginal figure, otherwise she would not have been assigned to Planet 3047. She followed the arrangements of the higher-ups to do things, and she had no access to many confidential things. For example, how to use drugs, to influence and control Chujian, and how to contact and collude with the White family, were actually arranged by the higher-ups for her to execute. Therefore, after the Evergreen base was cleared by Fenan, she and the other personnel returned to Doris Star, and then did some simple work, while waiting for new assignments. Unexpectedly, before the order to assign her came down, the 1st Military District sent troops to clear the 3rd Military District. It was just that her location was far away from the headquarters of the 3rd Military District, so she followed the others to pack up and run away. Who knew that the 1st Military District was faster than them, and before they could reach the nearest port, they were caught by the soldiers of the 1st Military District who came to search. So strictly speaking, none of them could be considered prisoners of war. Wen Jiu, I can tell you a lot of important secrets. LV Zuang was really scared. Every wrong has its perpetrator. If you want revenge, you should go to Blue White. I know a lot about the White family. As long as you let me go, I will tell you everything. You can use these things as evidence. The regulations formulated by the federal law are still very complete. If Wen Jiu wants to sue in the federal court, he must find evidence that the White family has committed a crime. It is precisely because of this that LV Zuang wants to use the evidence she knows as a life-saving bargaining chip for trading with Wen Jiu. Going to jail is not that scary for her, so she didn't feel scared when she was caught and only said some seemingly useful words. Anyway, going to jail is just a few years. But she never thought that the seedling who lost control and blew up the brilliant port would be Wen Jiu, whom she despised, and the other party was actually related to the 1st Military District. This situation is very scary for her. She is afraid that she can't even go to the federal court and will be dealt with by the 1st Military District in the detention camp. Hearing this, Wen Jiu curled up his lips with a hint of sarcasm. Yes, every wrong has its perpetrator, and I'm here to find you, right? Although she never liked to talk nonsense, she had to admit at this time that verbal attacks were still very effective. However, Lu Zuiying's calculations were wrong after all. She never thought of using the law to punish these evil people. There was no way. Some people were bad by nature. For these people, they would not change, even if they were imprisoned for a few years. They would continue to be bad after they came out of prison. Lu Zuiying and Blue White were such people, so she didn't think of taking legal action at first. Let me think about it. Teacher Yu was burned by fire, Wen Jiu said, while pretending to be naive and counting on his fingers. It burned for about 10 minutes, so I'll burn you for half an hour. It shouldn't be too much, right? After saying that, she curled her eyebrows and looked at Lu Zuiying, who couldn't help shaking just by listening. Seeing this, she couldn't help but smile even more brightly. Such a scene made Lu Zuiying shudder. She was still trying her best to control her emotions, thinking about what to do to escape this disaster. Just when she was panicking and at a loss, she suddenly caught a glimpse of Lu Yan sitting next to her. The other party had not said a word since he entered the door. He just sat beside Wen Jiu and silently peeled pears. The slender and delicate knuckles were stained with a faint water light, and the purple and blue blood vessels protruded slightly from the cold white skin. Lu Zuiying was lost in thought for a moment as she watched. She could not imagine that such a beautiful pair of hands could do such a mundane thing. Thinking about it, she looked up. Lu Yan was lowering his eyes and working seriously at this moment. His angular jawline was also slightly softer, as if a high god was showing mercy to the world. The next second, the other party seemed to have noticed her offensive gaze. There was a hint of coldness in his slightly upturned phoenix eyes, and a kind of awe-inspiring and inviolable nobility instantly appeared in his eyes. Seeing this, LV Zuiying immediately lowered her head in fear. At such a critical moment, she was still obsessed with beauty. Did she think her life was too long? So she tried to forget the scene just now, and thought seriously about how to get out of this situation. As a soldier of the 3rd Military Region, she naturally had to understand all kinds of military emblems and badges. Although she didn't know Lu Yan's identity, she could tell from the military badges and uniforms that the other party should be a high-ranking officer. Even if Wen Jiu wanted to retaliate against her, he had to get the consent of the 1st Military Region. After all, she was a registered official soldier in the 3rd Military Region. If she died in such an unclear way, there would be no way to explain. Thinking of this, LV Zuiying's emotions calmed down a little. So she looked up at Wen Jiu and said, "Have you asked your superiors if you want to use lynching? Do you think they will let you do whatever you want here?" After the words fell, the other party really flashed a look of daze. This made her mood better. It seemed that her life was saved for the time being. But her good mood didn't last long. Wen Jiu turned around and looked at Lu Yan on the sofa. "Command Lu, did you hear what she said just now? She said I can't do whatever I want." She pouted her lips, looking aggrieved. Seeing this, Lu Yan's expression softened. "Don't listen to her nonsense. Come here and eat some pears first." He first cut the peeled pears into small pieces, and then took a handkerchief to slowly wipe his fingertips. "How do you know I want to eat pears?" Wen Jiu walked over curiously, took a skewer, and poked a piece of pear and bit it. She had caught a glimpse of the fruit plate on the table when she just entered the door, but Lu Zuiying's appearance really surprised her, and she diverted her attention and didn't look at the fruits for a while. Hearing this, Lu Yan just said nonchalantly, "Guess." He rarely used lies to deceive people, so he lowered his eyes after he finished speaking, covering up the nervousness that flashed in his eyes. He had only been secretly observing Wen Jiu's performance. When he entered the room, he found that he had been staring at the fruit plate for a long time. He guessed that Wen Jiu must be craving for fruit, so while he was confronting Lu Zuiying, he slowly peeled a small fragrant pear. It was the first time for him to peel fruit, but fortunately his knife skills were pretty good, so he didn't peel the pear with any holes. So Wen Jiu asked, while eating the pear, "Can I set fire to her? I can't get rid of the hatred in my heart without burning her." Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 671. Meeting an old friend and getting revenge for. The scene in front of her was enough to make Lu Zuiying angry. Her limbs were locked and she could not move. However, Wen Jiu could come and go freely and enjoy tea and snacks. This made her forget her fear just now. She wanted to break free from the restraints and escape, so that the other party would know how powerful she was. Unexpectedly, Wen Jiu even spoke in a teasing tone, as if burning her with fire was just a trivial matter. Just when she was thinking about how to fight back, she saw the cold and moon-like boy said, "Burn it if you like." Lu Zuoying's heart trembled when she heard this, and she felt like vomiting blood in an instant. Did the people of the 1st military region just let Wen Jiu go? Is this still the 1st military region she knew? Really? Wen Jiu poked a piece of pear with a smile. Will it cause you any trouble? Although she wanted to give him a taste of her own medicine, she still had to consider Lu Yan. If she accidentally burned Lu Zuoying to death, wouldn't the other party be unable to explain to the federal headquarters? No, Lu Yan shook his head. She is not an important person. If she dies, she dies. No one will pursue her. Although his heart has long been inclined towards Wen Jiu, his mind still does not allow him to do anything wrong. LV Zuoying is just a marginal figure in the 3rd military region. If she dies quietly, no one will investigate, so he will let Wen Jiu deal with her at will. After receiving the report from the supervision camp, he temporarily suppressed LV Zuoying's confession. Moreover, he ordered people to clear the news about LV Zuoying. Anyway, the logistics soldiers have not finished counting the number of deaths in the battle. If Wen Jiu kills LV Zuoying, let the logistics department count her, or register her in the list of missing persons. You guys. LV Zuoying fell into panic again. You two are in collusion to abuse prisoners of war. Be careful of being struck by lightning and dying. She could see the murderous intent hidden in Lu Yan's eyes, and she never thought that the other party would indulge Wen Jiu so much. Hearing this, Wen Jiu chewed a pear and said vaguely, Wokang is a person who is struck by lightning. If she was not afraid of revealing her identity in front of Lu Yan, she would have wanted to give Lu Zuoying a talisman right now, to let the other party know what it means to be struck by lightning. However, her sticky and soft tone made Lu Yan on the side chuckle. Seeing this, she looked at the other party with some doubts and said, "What are you laughing at?" "Nothing." Lu Yan quickly recovered his seriousness, but there was still a smile in his eyes. He just thought that Wen Jiu, who was so sticky, was very cute. However, Wen Jiu, who he thought was cute, summoned flames in the next second. "Please ask someone to remove the safety glass and watch me show you how to burn a living person." After the other party's voice fell, he didn't even need to give orders. The soldiers who accompanied him took the initiative to remove the glass, and also asked the soldiers guarding the prisoners to retreat. Lu Zuoying looked at the scene in front of her with horror. She thought Wen Jiu would argue with her for a while, but she didn't expect that the other party would directly remove the safety glass, clearly intending to burn her to death in the interrogation room. Wen Jiu, listen to me. I can help you overthrow the White family. And I know many doctors from advanced planets. I can ask them to treat you Rumen. Please let me go, okay? I'm just a pawn following orders. In fact, I don't really want to hurt you and you Rumen. It wasn't me who set you Rumen on fire. Why do you have to use me as a punching bag? I beg you, I will sincerely repent in prison. She panicked and began to defend herself, complaining, scolding, and begging for mercy at the same time. It can be seen that she was really scared at this time. However, Wen Jiu ignored her words and only played with the orange-red flames wrapped around his fingertips. In fact, she wanted to use a deep-sea blue flame to send LV Zuoying off, but considering that there were several soldiers in charge of guarding besides her and Lu Yan, she gave up the idea. Anyway, her current ability level is not low, and using ordinary flames can also make LV Zuoying experience Rumen's pain. I'm just following the orders of the 3rd military region. It's not that I want to hurt you and Rumen. Why don't you let me go? Haven't you done anything wrong? I was also forced. I really didn't want to hurt Rumen. I really beg you, please spare me. I will definitely find a way to repay you. Wen Jiu. Aren't you afraid of retribution after killing me? Don't forget that Rumen is still paralyzed in bed. Wen Jiu was originally struggling whether to burn LV Zuoying half to death or burn her well done. Now there is no need to continue to struggle. The other party has accurately stepped on her thunder point and can directly burn her well done and send her away. So she gently raised her finger, and a cluster of flames instantly turned into a fire snake, and in the blink of an eye it rushed in front of LV Zuiying. No. No. The panic on the other party's face became even stronger. You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but sneer. I originally wanted to burn you to 70% done, so that you can spend the rest of your life in the pain of burns, but I don't like to leave trouble behind when I do things. So, teacher LV, have a good journey. After saying that, she gently snapped her fingers. The orange-red fire snake instantly showed its sharp teeth, and the temperature around it suddenly rose. LV Zuiying, who was closest to it, was still shouting desperately, "Wen Jiu, you will not die well. You won't." Because LV Zuiying was still tied to the chair, she couldn't even struggle to put it out, and could only let the scorching hot flames continue to burn. The other party was wrapped in flames all over, and at the same time, there was a burst of smell of cooked meat. But before long, this smell was replaced by a strong burnt smell, and LV Zuiying's screams of pain gradually faded. Wen Jiu watched all this with cold eyes, and she felt so happy. Although Yu Rumen was out of danger after Zhu Wangming's rescue, the various illnesses that followed still tortured her. Therefore, she always felt that it was too easy to let LV Zuiying die like this, and the other party did not experience the pain of Yu Rumen recovering after being burned by the fire. Just as she was thinking carefully, Lu Yan on the side suddenly said, "Go put out the fire on the prisoner, and then spray some calming spray on her." Wen Jiu was really puzzled by this. What's wrong? Can't she die? If Lu Yan said that LV Zuiying could not be killed, it was not that she could not let her live, but she was more or less unhappy in her heart. However, she didn't expect that the other party would answer gently. "I just think that this punishment is too light for her. Maybe we can change another way to make her repent." This is the third update of the day. Thank you all for your support again. 030. Chapter 672. Meeting an old friend and getting revenge 5. Wen Jiu stared at the cold young man in front of her, and he seemed to be different from what she imagined. Instead of letting her be burned to death by fire, it is better to let her struggle between ice and fire. One ice and one fire. I think she will know where she is wrong. Lu Yan still used the gentle tone he usually used to talk to her, as if he was discussing what to eat for lunch with her. However, there was murderous intent hidden in his slightly upturned phoenix eyes, which added a bit of indifference to his extremely cold face like the moon. She suddenly felt that Lu Yan was both familiar and strange. It seemed that she had seen such an indifferent person for the first time. Oh, not really. When they first met in the Starlight Night Market, Lu Yan also looked at her with such indifferent eyes. It's just that Lu Yan is gentler when he gets along with her now, so she subconsciously ignores how dangerous he is. Just when she was distracted, Lu Yan asked very considerately, "What's wrong? Don't you like this?" She came back to her senses immediately. No, do as you say. In fact, Wen Jiu didn't hate Lu Yan's approach. On the contrary, she quite liked him like this. And she also thought about whether to torture Lu Zuiying for a while, but she was worried that Lu Yan would think she was too much. After all, the other party looked so bright and clear, not like the type who liked to be stained with blood. She had already regarded Lu Yan as her good brother, and naturally didn't want him to feel uncomfortable because of this. But she didn't expect that Lu Yan would make such a suggestion while she was still struggling. It seems that the other party is worthy of being her good brother, and he guessed her thoughts without saying much. Great. She likes this good brother even more. Just when she was thinking about it, Lu Yan couldn't help but let out a long sigh, and even his eyebrows softened. That's good. He was worried that Wen Jiu would be afraid of himself like this, but there were some things he couldn't hide, such as he did have the intention to kill Lu Zuiying. In fact, when he brought the other party here, he had already thought about how to torture Lu Zuiying. The main reason was that Lu Zuiying's confession contained a lot of information, such as when Jiu was sent to the seedling base by the other party. This alone was enough for him to resort to lynching. You know, once you become a seedling, you are equivalent to an experimental subject, and he knows how painful the life of an experimental subject is, so he can't tolerate Lu Zuiying's behavior at all. But just after he proposed to torture Lu Zuiying in every possible way, Wen Jiu showed an incredible expression. Did the other party think that he was too much? Lu Yan also fell into deep thought for a while. He was afraid that he would be disgusted by Wen Jiu. But if the other party didn't like to do this, he shouldn't agree to his torture, right? Thinking of this, his emotions calmed down a little. Just as the two of them were reflecting on themselves, the soldiers who were sent successfully extinguished the flames. Lu Zuiying was picked up like a stray dog, and then thrown to the ground by the soldiers with great disgust. Her body was covered with burnt black, and the slightest movement would cause wounds to split open. It hurts so much, help me. The strong smell of burnt skin disappeared under the influence of the calming spray, and only the black and red wounds on her body were exposed. A fierce flame had just burned on her body. Lu Zuiying originally thought that she would die in the fire, but she didn't expect that. Just when she was about to lose consciousness, Lu Yan actually sent soldiers to extinguish the flames on her body. However, before she could recover from the pain of being burned, she heard the other party announce a new punishment without sympathy, so the hope that had just risen in her heart disappeared. Although she wanted to scold Lu Yan and Wen Jiu, she had already used up all her remaining strength just to say a few words for help. Every time she tried to move forward, the wounds on her body would burst open, and thick blood would instantly slide out, leaving blood stains on the floor. The strong smell of blood and the residual smell of burning were mixed together, but her sense of smell had long been lost in the flames, and she could not feel anything except pain at this moment. The face that Lu Zuiying was proud of was also burned beyond recognition by the flames. She was like a charred person at this moment, and just looking at her made people feel sick. Seeing this, Wen Jiu supported his chin with one hand and said, "Ayan, didn't you say to put out the fire and put on the ice?" Although she thought that such a scene was very terrifying, when she thought of what Yu Ruman had experienced, the anger in her heart overwhelmed the insignificant fear. Well, a jumping snowflake appeared in the palm of Lu Yan's hand. "Aren't you afraid?" This was not the first time he had seen such a scene. After all, the blood and flesh on the battlefield were even more terrifying. The scene in front of him was nothing to him. He was just worried that Wen Jiu would feel uncomfortable. However, the other party smiled and shook his head and said, "I'm not afraid. Why do you always think I'm afraid?" This question stumped him. So he didn't answer again, just controlled the snowflakes to float forward. LV Zuiying was lying on the ground, struggling with her last breath. The heat on her body had dissipated under the effect of the calming spray. She looked at the slowly drifting snowflake and suddenly cried out hoarsely, "No, no, no, ah." The sudden drop in temperature froze her to the point of losing consciousness. Her exposed skin was instantly frostbitten, which made her almost faint from the pain. "Save me." She lay on the floor trembling, unable to move at all. Just when she was about to be numb and unconscious, a blazing flame suddenly dispelled the cold, but it was replaced by endless burning. Wen Jiu looked at the scene in front of her expressionlessly. She had actually seen quite a few bloody scenes. After all, before Lu Yan brought people to support Doris Star, she had killed teams of soldiers in the Brilliant Port. It can be said that the blood on her hands was already too much to count. So she was not afraid of seeing LV Zuiying's miserable condition. She only felt that the anger in her heart was gradually dissipating. The other party is just the first one, and she will continue to track her down until she avenges Yu Ruman. When the flames were almost burned, Lu Yan waved his hand lightly, and the snowstorm came down. He was not interested in Lu Zuiying's miserable condition, so he stared at Wen Jiu in deep thought the whole time. He used to think that the other party was just a cute girl with a lively temperament, but after getting to know her for this period of time, he suddenly felt that he was wrong. It's not that Wen Jiu is not as cute as before, but that the other party's true temperament is more attractive to him. Just as he was thinking silently, Wen Jiu suddenly yawned. "I think her life is not much longer, and I won't get involved in the rest of the things." This is the 4th extra update, please check it out, little angels. 030. Whisper. Reviewer. I really didn't write anything nonsense. Please don't lock it cack. Chapter 673. Meeting an old friend and getting revenge. It wasn't that Wen Jiu was kindhearted and wanted to let LV Zuiying go, but she felt that it was not worth wasting time like this. In addition, she felt that Lu Yan would arrange the funeral, so she wanted to go to the research institute that she had not finished searching yesterday. Of course, the most important thing was that she was hungry. She had obviously drunk nutrient solution before coming here, but she felt a little hungry now, and she didn't want to starve herself just because of LV Zuiying. The world is big, and eating is the most important thing. Anyway, LV Zuiying is a dying person, and she has let her experience the pain of being burned. Although she really wanted LV Zuiying to experience the pain of recovering from being burned, it was too energy consuming and time consuming to keep her. Moreover, she had been tormented for such a long time, and the rage in her heart had long been reduced. Besides, it would cost her star coins to keep LV Zuiying, and she didn't have too many star coins to spend. After a few days, when the matter is settled, she will have to go back to planet 3047. She can't spend money to bring such a person back, right? Okay, I'll do as you say. Lu Yan lowered his eyes, as if he was thinking about something, but he quickly regained his composure and stood up, and then followed Wen Jiu out of the interrogation room. But when the other party walked to the front, he gently waved and called a soldier. His lips, which were light red, opened and closed slowly, for fear of disturbing the girl walking in front. After the soldier listened to his instructions, he continued to walk forward, as if nothing had happened. After catching up with Wen Jiu, he took out another piece of paper. This is Liang Yi's confession. Although they listened to Liang Yi's interrogation for a while, some of the information was spit out after the other party was castrated. The electronic panel that recorded the confession naturally could not be shown to Wen Jiu, but he could write down Liang Yi's confession in paper form and burn it to ashes after the other party finished reading it. Didn't he spit it out completely? Wen Jiu took it curiously and took a quick look. It would have been fine if she hadn't read it, but once she did, her anger started to burn again. Although she knew that Liang Yi had harmed many girls, she didn't expect that he would even want to harm Stephanie, and he had such a dirty mind. Damn it. She rarely cursed. Can I burn him again? She had long regarded Stephanie as a friend, so how could she tolerate Liang Yi having such a mind? This was really disgusting. Wen Jiu thought that Liang Yi didn't harm minors because he still had a conscience, but she didn't expect that he actually took the attitude that playing with minors would be illegal. That's why all the girls he harmed were adults, so that if he was discovered, he could still argue that it was consensual. Sure enough, physical castration was too light for Liang Yi, and she should have just set fire to his tools. Hearing this, Lu Yan spoke as expected. He is the Star Master of Brickstar. It would be hard to explain if he died, but you can rest assured. I have arranged for him to repent. Huh. Wen Jiu was a little confused when she heard this. You said repent, is it what I meant? She remembered that when she took revenge on Lu Zuiying just now, Lu Yan also said that he wanted the other party to repent. Then the next second, he sent a snowstorm to Lu Zuiying, freezing her to the point that she wanted to live but not die. Well, maybe? Lu Yan suddenly raised the corners of his lips, as if a warm breeze was blowing. Compared with the previous unattainable indifference, there was a fascinating gentleness. Seeing this, Wen Jiu also smiled back. Okay, I trust you to do things. Let's go have breakfast first, and then go to the research institute for a stroll. The tone of her voice was very relaxed, as if she didn't mind Lu Yan's decision without authorization. In fact, she really didn't care much. As long as Liang Yi was punished, she didn't want to care about other things for the time being. Hearing this, Lu Yan shook his head and said, I'm afraid we have to wait a while before we can eat. There are still 2 people you haven't met yet. The supervision camp reported 3 confessions to him, all of which mentioned the kidnapping of Wen Jiu. It's just that Lu Zuiying's story was more detailed, and the other 2 people were just mixed a little. However, He could see from these 3 confessions that Wen Jiu was separated from his loved ones because of them, so he felt that it was necessary for him to meet each of them one by one. As the saying goes, every debt has its own perpetrator. If he was forcibly kidnapped to the base, he would also try his best to find those people for revenge. In fact, he did so. In addition to attending classes and going on missions over the years, he has been looking for the people who kidnapped him in the past. Don't they believe in the so-called high gods? Then he will send these people to the gods to repent. Anyway, he has never believed in gods. There are 2 more people. Wen Jiu stopped abruptly. Who are they? Could it be that Gore Green and Blue White were also captured? The first military district should not go to planet 3047 to capture people. She remembered that Zhu Wangming said that the former had been captured by the Burning Flame organization, and the latter had hidden in the White family's castle. Lu Yan took her to another interrogation room. They are a couple, one surnamed Li and the other surnamed Zhao, and they used to work in the hospital where you live. They participated in the kidnapping of you and other children. The fire in the hospital was set by the 2 of them. Hearing this, Wen Jiu remembered it instantly. Nurse Li and Dr. Zhao, they are indeed traitors. It's a pity that she had shared food with these 2 people before, but she didn't expect that they were pawns of the 3rd military district. She tried to suppress her anger. Ayan, how do you know this? Their confessions. Lu Yan slightly adjusted his cuffs. Both of them were worried about being betrayed, so they stabbed each other in the back, trying to get away with it this way. Xiao Li and Xiao Zhao initially kept their mouths shut and refused to confess, so the interrogator ordered someone to take Xiao Zhao to another room. The 2 refused to betray each other, even if they were separated, until the interrogator said that one of them confessed and put all the blame on the other. So they couldn't sit still and began to talk about the orders issued by the 3rd military region in the past and said that they were deceived by the other party to do so. After a few rounds, they confessed everything. Because their mission was to assist the White family in transporting seedlings, they mixed into the Burning Flame organization under the instructions from above. Later, they participated in setting fire to the 3047 hospital, transferring the Burning Flame personnel who were on duty so that they were careless and allowed the White family to kidnap the target children. Unfortunately, one of the kidnapped people was Wen Jiu, and this confession was read by Lu Yan. This is the 5th update of this extra update. Thank you all for your company during this time 030. Chapter 674, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth 1. After doing all this, Xiao Li and Xiao Zhao fled back to Doris Star as quickly as possible. However, their status was similar to that of Lu Zuoying, and they could only do some simple work in the military region after returning. Then they waited for the new assignment of the 3rd military region, but they did not expect that what they were waiting for was a prison disaster. After Lu Yan finished speaking briefly, Wen Jiu could not help but sneered and said, husband and wife are birds of the same forest, but they fly away when disaster strikes. I think this sentence is quite suitable for them. They are really a pair of conscienceless things. She still remembered that Zhu Wangming trusted these 2 people very much, which showed how good they were at pretending on weekdays. Of course, what made her most uncomfortable was that she had divided food for Xiao Li and Xiao Zhao. How could she be blind and not see them clearly at that time and waste the ingredients she bought for money in vain? The main reason was that she was not familiar with Xiao Li and Xiao Zhao, so she just felt disgusted, as if she had eaten a fly. Poor Zhu Wangming trusted them so much, but he was stabbed by them. As he was talking, Wen Jiu and Lu Yan entered the interrogation room. Because Xiao Li and Xiao Zhao had finished their interrogations, the soldiers in charge locked them up together to free up an interrogation room to continue interrogating other people. Brother, isn't this interrogation over? Why are you still holding me and not letting me leave? Xiao Zhao sat on the chair with a tired face. Because his limbs were tied up, he was forced to sit with his back straight, without even the chance to bend down and take a breath. There was a very conspicuous bruise under his eyes, and his cloudy eyes were full of red bloodshot. It was obvious that he had not rested well these days. After the words fell, the soldiers guarding the back were silent, just holding the laser guns in their hands and standing guard seriously. Seeing this, Xiaoli, who was already in a very bad mood, couldn't help but complain, "Isn't it because you did something wrong? If you had listened to me earlier, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Oh, if we had listened to you, we wouldn't have been caught." Xiaoli was excited when he heard this. "If I hadn't wanted to take you with me, how could I have been discovered by the 1st Military Region?" He had originally got a few days off before the accident and was thinking of going to see a friend he hadn't seen for a long time to catch up. But Xiaoli insisted on asking him to wait and not leave because the other party would get a vacation in 2 days and then they could go on vacation together. Who knew that they would wait until they received news of the accident at the headquarters, and the two hurriedly packed up their things and wanted to run away. Because they worked at the same place as Lu Zuoying, they got on the same hovercraft when they escaped. It was also because of this that they were discovered and taken back by the 1st Military Region together with each other. Hearing this, Xiaoli was immediately unhappy. "Don't talk as if I harmed you. Even if you leave on vacation, what can it matter? As long as the 1st Military District finds evidence of your crime, you will be arrested sooner or later." Sister Lee is right. As the saying goes, the net of heaven is vast and nothing can escape. Unless you abandon everything and run to the garbage planet, it will not be so easy for the 1st Military District to find you. The two listened to this familiar crisp female voice and couldn't help but look up at the safety glass. A pretty girl in military uniform walked in. The other party casually combed the hair hanging on the collarbone and put on a smiling expression towards them. It was just that the two fangs exposed when the girl smiled added a bit of unruly wildness to this gentleness. "You are Wen Jiu." Xiaoli and Lu Zuoying reacted exactly the same at the time. They couldn't believe that Wen Jiu would appear here. Her words reminded Xiao Zhao of who this girl in front of him was, who made him feel both familiar and unfamiliar. "Wen Jiu. Do you still remember me? I'm Dr. Zhao." Unlike Xiaoli's incredulous expression, he immediately showed a happy smile. He thought he would wait for the trial assignment next, but he didn't expect to meet Wen Jiu here. "What are you doing?" Xiaoli was startled by his loud shouting. "You are not counting on her to save you, are you?" Hearing this, Xiao Zhao felt that he was really blind before. How could he fall in love with such a stupid woman? Mainly because he saw Wen Jiu wearing the uniform of the 1st Military Region, and the supervision camp was heavily guarded and could not be easily entered and exited, so he guessed that the other party had a high status in the 1st Military Region. Although he and Xiaoli betrayed Zhu Wangming and sold out the members of the Burning Flame organization. But Wen Jiu may not know those things. He can play the emotional card to get the other party to help and save himself to avoid imprisonment. As he thought about it, he squeezed out 2 tears. "Wen Jiu, I just came to Doristar to meet a friend, and I don't know how I was caught here. It's all my fault that I had to come here to meet my friend. Now, I was not only misunderstood by the people of the 1st Military Region, but also delayed the task assigned to me by Dr. Zhu." He acted aggrieved and told his grievances as if he was really caught by mistake. Seeing this, Wen Jiu frowned in disdain. "It's a pity that you don't enter the entertainment industry with your acting skills. The Golden Bull Award for Best Actor is definitely for you." Although she was fooled by Xiao Zhao and Xiaoli before, it doesn't mean that she is really a naive person, and her relationship with these two people is not that close. She just treats them as ordinary medical staff. Puff. Xiaoli, who was tied up next to her, laughed out loud. "Dr. Zhao, you should put away your hypocritical tears." Now she only feels that she was blinded before, so she fell in love with such a hypocritical and irresponsible man. From the moment she saw Wen Jiu, she knew that it would be difficult for her to escape the court's trial. As the saying goes, people should do what they are in their positions. As a soldier of the 3rd Military District, she naturally has to serve it. Although she knew that the 3rd Military District had been doing wrong things, she had stepped into the abyss from the beginning. Now that something happened in the 3rd Military District, and she was arrested, she was willing to take the blame after all the trouble. But she didn't expect Xiao Zhao to still be thinking about escaping the blame, and the other party actually wanted to take advantage of the already pitiful Wen Jiu. Hearing this, Xiao Zhao immediately turned his face and said angrily, "You stupid woman know nothing. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have fallen to this point. Don't shirk responsibility all day long. Even if I wasn't there, you would still be judged. Xiaoli immediately yelled back. She didn't have a good temper to begin with, and Xiao Zhao betrayed her first. If she wasn't tied to a chair now, she would have pounced on him and tore his face apart. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 675. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth too. Seeing this scene, Wen Jiu had the urge to eat melon seeds. She had thought about how to scold before coming to the interrogation room, but after entering, she found that she couldn't get a word in. Because Xiaoli and Xiao Zhao kept arguing, they first shirked their responsibilities and then started personal attacks when they ran out of things to argue. Later, Xiaoli even revealed their private affairs. Li Xiu, are you crazy? Xiao Zhao shouted her name in anger. Can you figure out our current situation? Is it necessary for you to bring up such a thing? I'm crazy? I think you are crazy. She sneered and continued. How did I fall in love with you back then? You are not good looking and irresponsible, and you have no money, let alone 3 minutes. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but purse her lips tightly for fear that she would laugh out loud. She really didn't expect that this pair of birds of the same forest would end up like this after the disaster. I only heard Xiao Zhao and Xiaoli attacking each other non-stop, and they didn't look like the loving couple they used to be. Alas, there is really no true love in the world. She sighed silently. Hearing this, Lu Yan on the side couldn't help but pursed his lips. Because love was also his blind spot in knowledge, he couldn't say anything to enlighten him, and could only listen quietly to Wen Jiu's weak voice complaining. TSK. Revealing each other's privacy is really amazing. No wonder they chose to betray Dr. Zhu. They are heartless people. Wen Jiu complained quietly while watching the show, and she didn't care that Lu Yan would hear it. In fact, she was not a person who spoke little, but because of Kao Shishi and Zikingayu in the past, she seemed to be a cold existence. So when she was with the really taciturn Lu Yan, her nature of being talkative and complaining was instantly exposed. Li Xiu, you crazy woman. I should have just left you and left. Xiao Zhao stared at Xiaoli with a ferocious face, as if he was going to tear the other person apart in the next second. When he was caught by the soldiers of the 1st Military Region, he regretted staying and waiting. But he was just thinking about it at the time, and did not show any dissatisfaction. He also patiently coaxed Xiaoli not to be afraid, and tried to play the role of a perfect boyfriend. After all, their previous feelings were real, and he was unwilling to resent Xiaoli for a while. Therefore, when he and Xiaoli were taken into the interrogation room, they tacitly gritted their teeth and said nothing. Just when he thought that he and Xiaoli could escape, the other party was suddenly taken to another interrogation room by the guard. Later, he learned from the interrogator that he was betrayed by Xiaoli. At first, he thought that the interrogator was cheating, but the other party talked a lot, all of which were things he had done before, and the tone of speaking was the same as Xiaoli. So he was angry. Since the other party was unjust, don't blame him for being unkind. He pushed all the responsibilities onto Xiaoli and created an image of being deceived for himself, hoping to reduce the punishment he suffered. As a result, not long after he finished speaking, he saw the other party being brought back. They attacked each other, like they are now, but they were too tired to say anything more. However, before they could stop for long, Wen Jiu suddenly appeared. Thinking of this, Xiao Zhao looked out the window fiercely and said, Wen Jiu, isn't it fun to laugh at our jokes? Do you think Zhu Wangming is a good person? He used to be a senior staff member of the 3rd Military Region Research Institute. You don't believe that he is just a small fry who makes medicines, do you? Anyway, he is doomed now, so he doesn't want Zhu Wangming to have an easy life. Why should the other party stay on planet 3047 safely, while he has to go to jail for working for the 3rd Military Region Research Institute? He is not convinced. This is unfair. Hearing this, Xiaoli, who has been venting and scolding, also sobered up. Although she has accepted the fact that she has to bear the responsibility, it does not mean that she is willing to make Wen Jiu and Zhu Wangming happy. So she immediately agreed. Ruman is not a good person either. She used to be a second lieutenant in the 3rd military region. Even ordinary soldiers like us are involved in the seedling cultivation plan. Do you think Ruman is the kind of person who doesn't know anything about it? Even if she has to go to jail for life, she will drag others to accompany her. What if Ruman and Zhu Wangming have left the 3rd military region? No one can hide the fact that they used to be soldiers of the 3rd military region. She knows how much the citizens of the Federation hate human experiments. As long as the news that Ruman and Zhu Wangming participated in the plan spreads, they will also be brought to the federal court for trial. Thinking of this, she shouted again, Zhu Wangming used to participate in the gene fusion operation. I'm just a marginal figure who helps to catch the seeds. Why do you arrest me instead of him? In fact, Xiao Li didn't know whether Zhu Wangming participated in the operation, but she knew that he used to be an important figure in the 3rd Military Region Research Institute. Otherwise, the higher-ups wouldn't have sent her and Xiao's outer planet 3047 to track down Zhu Wangming's whereabouts and assist Lu Zuoying in catching the seeds. So she thought that the other party was an important figure and that 80% of them had participated in the gene fusion surgery. Besides, she didn't really care whether Zhu Wangming had participated or not, as long as the people in the 1st military district thought that he had participated. Yeah, is that how you do things in the 1st military district? Xiao Zhao also added fuel to the fire. Instead of arresting those experimental personnel responsible for the surgery, you come to arrest us poor little ants. Is this the attitude of the federal headquarters towards human experiments? I don't know if the citizens of the Federation will be angry when they know about it. It has to be said that in this kind of frame up, the two of them are really a perfect match. However, Wen Jiu was not as angry as they imagined, but he showed a knowing smile. Is this all you two can do? She raised her hand and put it on Lu Yan's shoulder, showing an attitude of indifference. Hearing this, Xiao Li was stunned for a moment, and then he continued with a stiff face. Look at my memory. I almost forgot. Ruman must have been buried in the sea of fire. Oh, then she doesn't have to go to jail. Xiao Zhao immediately said, after all, the dead can't go to jail. You can't dig up her bones. He did not hide his malice. He just wanted to see Wen Jiu sad and crazy. Only in this way can he feel happy. This is the second update of today. Thank you all for your support and love 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.